Is this thing on?
Are you ready, Matt?
You're listening to Box Office Bingers
with Matt Diaz and Ernesto Santos.
Good evening, folks. We have a wonderful evening's entertainment lined up for you.
We know each other. He's a friend from work.
Box Office Bingers.
And the only way that I know how to do it is to find you a bloody good dump.
He's my friend. I don't have friends. I got family.
I can do this all day.
You know, if you put your mind to it, you can accomplish anything.
Matt, we are back for what I believe is going to be our final episode of 2025. And I think that we are ending this year in a bang.
In a bang?
In a bang. Did I not say that correct?
In a bang?
Man, I'm congested. I'm sorry if it didn't come out. I'm sorry I'm not perfect for you, Matthew. You know, I couldn't.
We're ending in a bang.
We're ending in a bang.
Not with a bang. We're in it.
We're in the bang. We're
In
in the
the
bang. You know what? Whatever. You know what? Just start the show. Here.
Stop giving me shit.
Here, there's your graphic.
Do your job.
Do your job. Tell the people.
Tell the people what we're talking about. Yeah, we're talking about what might be one of the biggest, either I wouldn't say highly anticipated, but definitely one of the biggest movies of the year. That's for sure.
I would say it's highly anticipated. I mean, this movie's got like legacy behind it.
That's true. It definitely has legacy. And that movie that we're talking about is Avatar: Fire and Ash, starring Sam Worthington, Zoe Saldana, Stephen Lang, Sigourney Weaver, Onya Chaplin, who within this movie coming out, I realized, and all the articles were coming out that her name was she's the granddaughter of Charlie Chaplin.
Is it Onya or Una?
You could be either way. Yeah.
You could be either way. See, look,
it could be either way.
Look, I could make fun of you too.
Kate Winslet, Cliff Curtis, Britton Dalton, and Jack Champion. Written and directed by the legendary James Cameron, or Jim, if you're invited to his holiday party.
Which
we're not. So we're gonna call him James. And so he's the director behind Avatar, The Way of Water, Titanic, Aliens, and Terminator 2, Judgment Day, just to name a few mega hit films. And it's also written by Rick Jaffa, and Amanda Silver, the writing duo behind Jurassic World, 2020's live action Mulan, and the Planet of the Apes films. I believe they had a hand in writing all four of them, including the one that came out last year, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Yeah, this movie obviously highly anticipated. I'm curious to hear your thoughts, because even going into the movie before it came out, it was received with like mixed reviews. Like, this is right now currently the lowest rated on Rotten Tomatoes of the three films, and then they all had their varying opinions on the film itself. And it's another long one. It's 3 hours and 15 minutes, so you got to strap in. And but also it demands to be viewed in the theater. A lot of people are going into it. Later in the show, we're going to be talking about the box office and some of its incredible feats that it has done, and even surpassed what The Way of Water has already done by its second week. So for a lot of people that say that, hey, Avatar, it's that they're overstaying its welcome, people rushing to the into the theater to see this, I think it's showing that Avatar has huge staying power nonetheless.
I'll just say this: he gives you a reason to go back to the theaters. Like, and
Yeah.
we say every time, like before Way of Water, we're like, oh, I don't know if he, we were all skeptical, and he said, "Hold my beer." And I all I'm gonna say is, and to that same respect, I believe he did the same thing with this movie. I have many things to say about this film.
Yeah, so do I. And like, again, for 3 hours, you better give me a movie.
And I do
Um,
believe that we got a movie. I think
Yeah,
that
we
got a
definitely
movie.
have a movie. Yeah, we'll be diving into that a little bit later into the show. But before that, we have a lot of other things and kind of wrapping up the year 2025. A lot of shows we've been watching that we've been really wanting to talk about. and a little bit of news. Not too much, but we got a little bit to talk about. And first of which, this news came out a few weeks ago, is the Oscars is for those who care are leaving ABC, which is a huge deal, and will be moving to none other than YouTube beginning in 2029. The Academy of Motion Picture and Art Sciences and YouTube have signed a multi-year deal that would give YouTube the exclusive global rights to the Oscars beginning in 2029 with the 101st Oscars ceremony running through 2023. So ABC will have the centennial celebration of the Oscars, which is probably a good feat for them. They've been having the Oscars for decades now. And then I guess after the 100 years, they're turning a new leaf and now moving over to YouTube. The Oscars, including the red carpet coverage, the behind the scenes content, Governor's Ball access, and more will be available live and for free to over 2 billion viewers around the world on YouTube, as well as the YouTube TV subscribers in the United States.
Mm.
So, Ernesto, your thoughts on this?
I mean, that's a game changer. I mean, that you're literally pulling so many people off of like regular satellite or not satellite, but just regular terrestrial TV. Just that's finally moving it to a live stream platform. I mean, this is what we've been wanting for years. Like, just make it more accessible to do that. And YouTube is the king of live stream content and streaming content. Like, we're seeing it with so many other streaming services, with different footballs and with different football events and concerts and I think what was it, the Country Music Awards? Wasn't that on Paramount or something?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, this is just the way. Unfortunately, this is just the way of the future. And
Yeah, and it's kind of crazy because NBC. I think we knew for a while now that the Academy and ABC were kind of butting heads a little bit. Like numbers were going down, viewership was not what it was, and I think the Academy for a while has been trying to push a few things, and ABC and Disney were kind of pushing back a little bit. And now, obviously, it was so like crucial to them that they wanted to leave altogether after their contract in 2028.
but now,
And
but I wonder, like, what is that event going to look like now? Because now they're not going to be limited. They're going to be on the internet, so they're going to be they can say whatever they want. They can go for as long as they want. They don't have to worry about commercial breaks, like, or I'm not sure how they're built in, like how the CMT Awards, how they did that, or how they build their ads that they have to run. But I mean, that's interesting because they can curse, they can do whatever they can. It's limitless. They can do so much more now.
yeah, and I think that's a huge deal for the Academy. For years, it's like it's always too long. It's too long. Like too many ads, like all that stuff. You're right. There's no limitations now. They can literally do. I feel like there are some tiny limitations, but for the most part, you can do whatever you want, and they have all this access that they're basically getting access to everything on YouTube. And yeah, if you wanted to reach more people, and it's funny because people watch a 3-hour video on YouTube all day long,
Yep.
but when you're subjected to cable network, maybe they don't want to sit through 3 hours because that's also ad time. That's also like there are other shows that are following after uh, the Oscars that night, or ABC is trying to push whatever show they're trying to premiere. Most likely after the Oscars, they always have something coming afterwards, like go watch this new episode after the Oscars, or like here's this new show after the Oscars. Like they're always pushing something, but on YouTube, that's not a thing. Like it's all dedicated to just the Oscar ceremony. And you're right, they could make this a 4-hour event if they wanted to, and won't even bat an eye.
No, no, I didn't think about how many. Like, they'll have their main live feed, and they could have so many. They could just set up so many other little live streams, like a live red carpet cam, like
Mhm.
the it it'll change. It'll be a game changer, and their reach is going to be much wider. Like, YouTube is
Yes.
just more accessible to more people than trying to watch it on however they on regular TV.
I mean, to your point, like I'm not sorry, NBC and CBS has effectively changed how you can watch their cable network. You don't need a cable subscription or you don't have to have like Xfinity or
No,
Spectrum or anything to watch stuff on CBS and NBC. As long as you have Peacock and Paramount Plus, they give you access to live content locally in your viewing area. So like if you want to watch live sports, you can do that as long as within your local area. And anything that's live on CBS, you can watch on Paramount Plus, which is an easy way to broaden your reach for people who don't have cable network. And then especially with NBC, like again, all their live coverage, including Sunday Night Football, is watched on Peacock. So like they've been doing that for quite some time now. And ABC, for whatever reason, with their dealership with Hulu, like they never decided to integrate live programming other than recently with Dancing with the Stars, that's on ABC and on Disney Plus live. But aside from that, I mean, we've been saying this for years. Like, why don't you just put the Oscars on there too? It's a no brainer at that point. But I guess with everything they're doing with Hulu, and eventually later in 2026, Hulu, the app will be no more, and Hulu will be integrated to Disney Plus, so everything is all in one app. That's coming in probably mid 2026. So, like maybe once that was squared away, they could have been working out an agreement. Maybe for all we know, there's still three more ceremonies left for the Oscars that is with ABC and Disney. So maybe by this year, next year, they might actually have it available on Disney Plus. To kind especially when the 100 years of the Oscars, because that's going to be big press
You
when
would
they
hope
get
so.
there.
You would hope so. They'd get it figured out by then.
Yeah. But then after that, all the work that maybe ABC would try to do while they have the Oscars will be doesn't matter because then YouTube has now 3 years plus to orchestrate their own vision of how they want the ceremonies to go moving forward.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good thing. I do think because like again, you won't need any subscription, you won't need anything. You just go on YouTube and watch it.
It's
And
just
that's more than any other award show can say right now because it's still tied to something else.
exactly, and it just makes it so much more accessible to everybody.
Mhm.
But I also want didn't they tried? Did they try live streaming it last year? I also think that there's an issue with volume, which we've seen with
Maybe.
Netflix, like with certain boxing events, or like certain games. If the volume is too high, YouTube seems to be the only one that can handle the mass volume from that what that live stream will bring.
I will say that Netflix and Prime with their Netflix doesn't do it as often, but they're doing a lot more live events, obviously with boxing. But just recently, they had the NFL on Christmas Day, and they had two NFL games on Netflix that day, and I watched both of them, and those streams were perfect.
That's great.
Like
That's good to hear.
they had no delay. They also had a halftime show in the second game. Like I'm sure that brought in a little bit more people, and there was no lag, no dropouts, no nothing, and so they were able to handle it. And then with Prime, they've been doing Thursday night football for years now, and so they've been able to handle that live influx every Thursday at the very least. So I think they're getting better. But to your point, YouTube has been doing it great for years now, and
Yeah.
so the fact that and granted, let's be honest, there's not like a whole bunch of people that weren't watching the Oscars were now like, finally, I can watch the Oscars. Like, it's still probably a niche group of people that are be following it. But what this is good for the Academy is that a, a brand new group of people are now have access to watch it without zero limitations. If that was a barrier in the past, so
It's
and what's
gonna
crazy because the I'm reading the article here and they're saying that it going to YouTube was a shock because ABC's like we're ABC and you're going with YouTube, like what's up with that? And it says just reading the Variety article, it says the Academy has been seeking new broadcast licensing agreements for the partner for the better part of 2025. Over the summer, several expected and unconventional buyers, including NBC Universal and Netflix, had come into the mix for potential suitors, which would make sense.
yeah.
NBC grabbing the Oscars will be huge for them, and Netflix adding to their live programming would be also be huge for them, especially now that they're also trying to acquire Warner Brothers, which might have been the reason why they didn't go for maybe pursue harder on the Academy if they were also trying to pursue Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
And it says here that insiders believe that YouTube shelled out over nine figures for the Oscars, besting the high eight-figure offer from Disney, ABC, and NBC Universal. Under the most recent contract, Disney was paying around $100 million annually for the Oscars. But given the ratings decline, ABC were reportedly looking to spend less on licensing fees. So it looks like ABC was trying to downplay the Oscars in their new contract, and the Oscars are like, no, no, we're not doing that. We want to, if this rumor is true, YouTube shelling out nine figures will definitely be a difference in making a deal there. It also says insiders say Disney execs were surprised to learn that YouTube, a sole streamer, and not a linear streaming combo, won the bid. There was anticipation of the potentially of the possibility of NBC Universal grabbing the rights, but insiders weren't expecting the Oscars to wind up at YouTube. So that was also a surprise to them.
This isn't going to be a way to bring. I feel like the Oscars is like we've seen it at least for us. I feel like there's been an uptick. Like we had a lull. Like after Boon Joon Ho, there was a couple years where they were just kind of like they just weren't. They were good, but they weren't that great. Last year was pretty good, but I think leading up to 100, like I think we're going to see a new era of like movies and the Oscars. Like I don't know. It just
Yeah.
feels like them going to YouTube is going to be a game changer.
Yeah, I really think so. And I think at this point now the deal is kind of done and this is official that it's coming to YouTube in 2029. I think now ABC has a chance to like, you know what? We don't have this, so hopefully they still care and not just like let it go. But I would think they like to do it up big for 100 years and then kind of turning a new leaf and see what YouTube has to offer in the next year. So I'm excited for the Academy of getting this YouTube deal. I think, like you said before, I think it'll be a game changer on how we view the Oscars, and maybe more people will care, and maybe the production value will go up a little bit as well.
And YouTube offer some work with the Academy, get us packages so we can start seeing like just house all that content because people are already going on YouTube to find the shorts anyway.
Very true.
Why not give us an official channel that so we can pay to subscribe to, and it just has all the content there. And now when everybody tunes into your live stream, more people will tune in because they're already going to be invested because they've already seen all the things. They're more easily accessible. All right, let me get off my soapbox now.
Sounds like $1 million idea to me.
Right?
Let's hope they're listening.
They're not, but they should.
We know they're not listening.
We know they're not listening. We get
They're
it.
never listening. They never listen. We have great ideas, and they're like, no, not today. We're not using yours.
All right. Which news did you want to move to next?
The next one here on the list.
Okay.
That I meant for you to read it. I had to write it
Okay.
underline.
So, all right, guys. Legend of Aang, the last Airbender, the upcoming animated film from Avatar Studios, will no longer be releasing in theaters as previously intended. Paramount has now decided to debut the film exclusively on Paramount Plus sometime in the fall of 2026. Meanwhile, the new animated series, Avatar 7 Havens, will also premiere on Paramount Plus as the company charts a new future for the earthbending franchise that's solely on streaming. Jane Wiseman, head of originals for Paramount Plus, said the Avatar universe has captivated audiences for 2 decades, and Paramount Plus is proud to be the exclusive streaming home for its beloved animated incarnation. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. I could see where the demand for that to go to the theaters not being as high, and maybe just sticking to streaming, give people a reason to only watch it on Paramount Plus. But given the success that we've seen with Stranger Things going into theaters, why not just have it do both?
Yeah, I at least give it a chance. It's almost like you don't have faith. That's what it sounds like to me. Like it's not putting this in theaters was not worth the money to try to just give it a chance because there's a huge Avatar market. But as we've seen lately, obviously Avatar, The Last Airbender, it's been a minute since we've seen something new for them. And the only thing that's keeping that franchise active as of late, is the Netflix shows, the live action iterations that are keeping that name and that franchise alive for now. And we know that Avatar Studios has been working hard on several projects that have yet to be released. So I don't know. I just felt like it would have been nice to see this in theaters. I get that Paramount Plus makes sense and all future projects are just going to be the home for Paramount Plus. Sure. I feel like that was inevitable anyway. So at least let the first movie out of the gate, at least see how it does before you make that decision so far out. That's kind of where I'm at. A little bit disappointing news in my opinion. Like I would have loved to see an Avatar something in theaters.
I agree with you 100%. I guess I get it. I mean, I understand. Maybe they didn't see it worth the risk. But should they have? Of course, they should at least give it an option. But it could have been a good movie to get people interested to go back and rewatch the series. Oh, here's another animated movie I can take my kids to go see. You know, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, and, like, it's weird because they're making choices to, like they had the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem movie in theaters, and now they're working on something else, and so, like, it's interesting what they're willing to take a gamble on to see if it works in the theaters, but granted, the Turtles have been in theaters for years now, so that's more of a lesser, uh more of a sure thing than Avatar is. But
But why
anyway,
not?
yeah, it
But
is what it is. I know we've talked about this before, so I think it was worth mentioning as far as an update.
no, but yeah, why not take a gamble on a beloved franchise? I mean, it just
Yeah.
hit 20 years. People still love it, and they go back and rewatch it. It's a fantastic series that I've rewatched.
Mhm.
I've rewatched several times. I think it. I don't know. I think it would have. I agree with you. I think it would have been worth it to see it in theaters.
Yeah, also it's also interesting to see that like a lot of anime movies have been hitting theaters for limited release and they've been killing it in the box office this
Yeah,
past
I
year.
think with Demon Slayer with this year, it was like number one for the
Yeah,
first.
Demon Slayer, there's another one that I'm drawing a blank on. Um yeah,
Ninja.
there was like 2 or 3 of them that came out this year that did extremely well in the box office and like people like came out to watch that. So like again, the recent like popularity in animes going to theaters, again, at least give this one a shot. Why not?
Exactly.
Um, Especially for an American audience who already loves this franchise. But I get it. I'm gonna watch it regardless. So I guess, it is what it is. But yeah, a little bit disappointing. Like
Yeah.
it just kind of sucks when, theaters, oh, we're gonna push it to streaming. Uh it's also a thing that doesn't happen too often nowadays because I think all the streamers are kind of figuring out what works for them. And so this used to happen a lot a few years ago where they're like, "Oh, this is going to streaming, this is going to the theaters," and some things were pulled to theaters, going straight to streaming. We're still doing the fallout from the pandemic. Now I think the streamers are more localized at what they want. And what's funny is that you see less movies premiering on streaming now than you have a few years ago. A lot more a lot more movies are in theaters, and then obviously you have the book obviously you have all your TV shows on streaming, and then you have, like, a few movies. Netflix has more than other streamers, but there's, like, a few movies that eventually hit the streaming services. Like, Prime, Netflix, and Disney Plus do more original movies than, say, Peacock, Paramount Plus, and, um I feel like I'm missing one, and HBO Max. HBO Max doesn't do much movies anymore.
Yeah.
Um, Apple does a great mix of movies and television shows, and
And they're all
they're
usually
not
really
afraid to
good.
put their shit in the theaters either.
That's very true. Very true. Very true. And they're
Like
all and
F1 did extremely well.
it did actually, and just hit Apple TV Plus just
Mhm.
recently, which we've seen it. And I loved it. I can't wait to rewatch it.
Yeah, I think Apple TV is doing it right. Like they're like, oh, I think they're reading the room. It's like, yeah, this one's probably better for streaming. This one we can put in the theaters, and then eventually hit our platform. But anyway. The last piece of news we're gonna talk about is something that's kind of loosely tied to the Avatar Fire and Ash, and that is the recent trailers for Avengers Doomsday. And we don't typically talk about trailers in the show. However, this is becoming, and this is an interesting tactic. And us being Marvel nerds, I think it's worth talking about and mentioning. So, Marvel has decided to release 4 trailers within 4 weeks. And each week, I'm assuming every Friday, they drop a new trailer, new Avengers Doomsday trailer ahead of Avatar Fire and Ash. It's like the last trailer you see before the movie came out. So opening weekend, they had one trailer that featured. We'll talk about a little bit details, but just like the overview that featured the return of Steve Rogers, and that was like about a minute and a half trailer with that. The second trailer that just dropped was featuring Thor, and those 2 trailers are now available to watch at home at the time of this recording. Then Avatar going to its third week, it's rumored and highly speculative and already leaked footage of the third trailer being the X-Men, featuring the X-Men, the original X-Men that's from the 2000 films. And then the last trailer, which has not been leaked, has been rumored to be an overall teaser of Avengers Doomsday, kind of featuring like a traditional trailer would be. And so I think one, it's an interesting model to do that with, of like, here's these 4 distinct trailers, and we're putting it in front of Avatar Fire and Ash. I don't expect I don't think Marvel expect people to go be watching this like, I'm only gonna rewatch Avatar or at least pay money to watch the previews and then leave to watch these trailers. I think that's an unfair not unfair, but unrealistic expectation. But I guess it's trying to hit people at various points when they decide to go see Avatar: Fire and Ash because it is a big movie. And then it seems like so far the trend is that the trailer will premiere in theaters on Friday, and then at some point next week, in this case it has been Tuesdays, they drop that trailer online. So like I said, the first two trailers, one featuring Steve Rogers, the other one featuring Thor, have already been dropped online. So Ernesto, your thoughts on the tactic? You think if that's going to actually work to draw people in over a year away from its release? And then also let's talk about the trailers afterwards.
Well, just first and foremost, as far as the ones that I've seen, so I have seen, I may or may not have seen the leak trailer online, and that's literally the best one. So
Yeah.
I'm sure by the time whenever this is out, like that trailer would already be out, and it is like that's the trailer they should have released first.
Yeah.
The Chris Evans will return as Captain America. It was like what is
Well,
this?
not Captain America, Steve Rogers.
Excuse me, Steve Rogers will return. But it is Captain America because in the trailer you're looking at him with he's looking at his clothes, he looks at his
Mhm.
shield, like it's Captain America. Like what does that? I don't know. What does that do to Anthony Mackie? We just spent all this time making Sam Wilson Captain America just for Steve Rogers to say, "Stop, I'm actually coming back."
Well, I don't know. I see. I would like to think they would not disrespect that progression for the character. I think because they were very specific. It says Steve Rogers will return, not Captain America will return. I think it would be interesting if they never put him in the suit. Don't get me wrong. I would be
Yeah,
bold
see,
if they never put him in the suit. But however, I think overall, because this was so far the first reveal. And even though it was highly rumored that Chris Evans was coming back, and that was actually rumored back in like the summer that he was coming back, and Marvel didn't officially confirm it until just this past weekend with this trailer officially. But Chris Evans was never part of the Avenged chairs that I've heard people call it, of all like the
yeah,
chairs lined up. Um, and I do have a problem with Steve Rogers returning because I do
yes,
think that aside from the Anthony Mackie Captain America bit of it all, I just think in general Steve Rogers' presence back into the fold just undercuts the emotional ending that was Endgame for his character.
100%. Because we kind of are dealing with that with RDJ coming back as Doctor Doom.
Hmm.
Like, I mean, don't even get me on that high horse. Like, they could have been Killian Murphy. Like, Killian Murphy would have been a fucking incredible Doctor Doom. Like, he would have
Hmm.
killed it in that shit. But okay, maybe you have a plan for RDJ to be like they have to they're gonna have to explain that shit. They're gonna I mean he could be another variant from another universe, but they're gonna have to make it worth it being him in the movie. Like
Yeah.
in the story, it better be a major plot point or otherwise why? Like why did we do this? Just to be like, oh, he used to like Iron Man, and then we just go about our day. No, that has to like there has to be a reason for that shit.
Yeah, and also, I mean, the Russo brothers have come out since the trailers are coming out saying that this is a direct sequel to Endgame and
Yeah.
making it seem like, basically everything that we've seen the last 6 years from Marvel is not important, which isn't not necessarily true. They did say that, the people from like it seems like they're picking what movies they're choosing. Like, sorry, they're pick made no sense. They're picking the movies they want to feature in the Avengers saga. And I think the 2025 movies are probably the most important sequels that have come out since Endgame that will most likely directly tie into Avengers Doomsday,
Yeah.
and that being Captain America, Brave New World, Thunderbolts, and Fantastic Four. We know those characters are returning for Avengers Doomsday, so they are, those movies are probably going to be when once we get closer to Doomsday, I will be rewatching those three movies just to get a familiarity of, what's next. Um, or what I should be looking out for. And so far with the recent Thor trailer, now it comes to the fold that hey, maybe um Thor Love and Thunder might have a little bit more important to see Thor's progression since Endgame as well. And that's pretty much it. Everything else, all the Disney Plus shows, I think the only thing that could be worth revisiting is probably Loki season 1 and season 2. But I think the WandaVision stuff that was really popular and Agatha All Along are kind of living in their separate storyline with, with also sounds like Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness. So far, that's like its own little pocket. And then we have like these little individual pockets, like, you know, Hawkeye is most likely not coming back. So that storyline's the same. And that kind of stays in that pocket. Moon Knight has not been talked about. She Hulk has not been talked about. Miss Marvel's story continued in Captain Marvel, which again, Brie Larson was not featured in that announcement, so that storyline might be put to bed for a minute. Who knows the continuation of Ironheart? And then it seems like that Daredevil is probably going to be living on a separate area too with their series. So I don't know. It just seems like that they're prioritizing the theatrical experience as something that are going to be more or less priority viewing going into Doomsday, but the hype is just not what it used to be.
No, it just. I mean, Infinity War and Endgame was just a culmination of just so many other films, and like
Mhm.
there was a. It just seemed like there was more of a direct path, whereas post Endgame, as we've been kind of like wandering, like wondering what's the next, what are we like, what's the next thing for? Oh, this is here. Oh, that's kind of loosely connected, and then we started to follow this thread, and then halfway through, they're like, "Hey, Marvel's sucked for a while, but we're gonna change. We're gonna do a course correction." And then we got to the course correction, and then the course correction was like, "Okay, Fantastic Four was fine. Like this is
Yeah.
that's where Doom is. So that's our direct. That's like our direct prequel leading in to this movie." It's like the prelude into this, and Thunderbolts kind of is too. Is like a lead, has like a lead tie-in, which you would see in
Mhm.
comic book events. Like you would have like certain comic books from certain other lines would be like a prelude leading into the main event, and then you have the main event,
Yeah.
and then you'd have like side stories that you would read off of. So it's just there's no direct lead up to this. We've got a few films, but nothing like Infinity War and Endgame, which
Ye
I don't know if they can replicate that again. I think they've
they
tried too hard, and they're trying to regain what they have. And
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, even the Kang stuff, like, that also hurt them too because they had
that's
a whole
true.
separate storyline going into the Kang Dynasty, and this is now a product of the course correction. They instead of Kang Dynasty is now Doomsday.
Yeah.
So, that's been that also changed within the last 6 years of what the original plan was. And Loki season 1 and 2 heavily featured Kang. So, clearly that I think luckily for Loki season 2, when they ended that storyline, not only did they perfectly end Loki's character, which was already in the events shares said that he's returning to that. So that's obviously to be continuation. But Kang, that character is kind of put to bed at the end of Loki season 2. So they could revisit it. It's probably best in their interest if they don't, but they could if they want to and see how well that goes. And the only connection that anyone has to Kang is so far Tom Hiddleston as Loki. Like Loki as a character is the only person, well, that and Ant-Man are the only connections to Kang. And even Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania feels not important anymore. Um, so and I forgot his character was coming back too. So yeah, there's a lot of interesting things that's coming with this. I do feel like this is a little bit like Avatar in the sense of like, I don't know if this is gonna work, blah blah blah. And then once we get closer, once it hits, people are gonna be, rushing to the theater to see this out of out of either excitement or pure curiosity.
I think I think it's going to be a mix of both. We're going to see big numbers for opening weekend, but then that opening weekend is going to really determine. Like I'm kind of I'm excited. I'm excited to to see it because I'm sure maybe it'll be decent. I don't know. I'm not as excited as I was going into Infinity War and Endgame. Like I feel
Yeah, no,
like
I
there's no
agree with you. The hype is not there.
yeah.
However, I do think that once the movie's out, maybe this could bring back that excitement. Whether the lead up is there or not, I'm as a singular movie, maybe this could bring back the hype that Marvel's been missing. And we kind of got that a little bit with Deadpool and Wolverine. That definitely brought a lot of positive Marvel hype. 2025 was not the year for Marvel, even though they put out 3 movies. I do think Spider-Man is gonna also sit on a standalone. I don't think it's gonna be leading into Doomsday at all. in my opinion, and that comes out in end of July of next year. So
Or maybe a
yeah,
post credit. Like the movie
maybe post.
itself can stand alone, but maybe a post credit scene that leads into that ties into Doomsday.
It's possible. Yeah. And then after that, I mean, if this movie does not give hype for Secret Wars, I feel like that's what this movie's job is. It's supposed to reignite the fandom of Marvel and get us hyped for what is supposedly a bigger movie in Avengers Secret Wars. And if it doesn't do that, then Marvel's in big trouble.
Yeah, because then this is supposed to usher in because then now, let's say post Secret Wars, like what people are going to be wondering was it going to be the same shit after Endgame where these movies are great, but then everything afterwards is not going to be good, or is Secret Wars going to give us a direction into the next era of Marvel? And that's what they need. They need these events to reignite interest. Like these, we should leave these characters and go, oh well, I would definitely want to see what Thor's gonna go do now, or I want to go see what they're gonna go do now. Like whatever their next movie or whatever the next thing for them is.
Yeah. And obviously there's a theme with these excuse me, with the two trailers that's been out so far. Like obviously in the toward the end of the Steve Rogers trailer, we see him holding a child and he's now become a father. And then obviously for the Thor trailer, he was kind of praying to the gods. He like, hey, it looks like he was about to go into battle. And he is like, wanting to survive this battle so he can take care of his daughter that that kind of joined him at the end of Thor Love and Thunder. And so and then with everything else that's been happening, we've been featuring a lot of younger characters into the Marvel Cinematic Universe in the last couple of years. Obviously, Tony Stark already has a daughter that was in the end of Endgame. So I think the children of the Avengers is the next step for for Marvel and Cinematic Universe. There's no way it's a coincidence that literally every one of our main characters that we've been following have children. Even Scott Lang was already a father, and that character was featured in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Kate Bishop was introduced, Riri Williams was introduced, Miss Marvel was introduced. Very randomly, Thor had a son at the end of She-Hulk, so that's out there somewhere. And I do think that the Young Avengers storyline is not that far away from the reality. And then obviously we know that Marvel wants to push into a new X-Men movie after all of this is over, and obviously that's going to be following a group of kids as well. So I think that is the next step for Marvel is more of a younger generation kind of picking up the pieces from whatever the fallout is going to be from Secret Wars. And if Secret Wars can be what I'm assumingly going to be the end of the multiverse saga and kind of maybe actually realistically retiring our legacy characters, then then
Mm.
they're just like this is the end of what we know, and now Marvel's for a new generation, and you can stick with it or not.
See, now that would make sense if at the end of Secret World, like we merge because it merges. What it does is it merges all these multiverses, and he
Hmm.
connects them all to Battle World, and they pretty much battle out, and then whoever's left kind of form a new universe. So I
Yeah.
wonder. So I wonder who's gonna die. Like we're gonna probably see a lot. We might see a lot of legacy characters die. And you see that now, if there's actual stakes, then this Secret Wars and Doomsday will be worth it.
Yeah, and I do think that obviously since we also have like Thunderbolts, which is still fairly new, and Fantastic Four, which is still fairly new characters, I think those people are more or less safe. But again, we'll see how they want to move forward with the rest of the Marvel Cinematic Universe after this. But going back to specifically Doomsday, this is an interesting model. It has us talking, and I think that's what Marvel needs right now is just to keep this alive for another year of us just talking about random shit that they do. We had a full conversation about the Avengers chairs, and now we're doing this with this interesting release model for the trailer. So, like, I think they're doing interesting things to keep us talking about it. But it all comes down to the movie, and we'll wait a whole nother year. We'll probably end 2026 with Avengers Doomsday. I almost guarantee it.
Yeah, that'll probably be the end for us.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway, that's all the news we have for you guys this week. As always, you can follow us on our Facebook page at Box Office Bingers and our Instagram and Threads page at Box Office underscore Bingers. We'll post all the news over there first, and then we'll come back on the show and we'll talk about it. So with that, we're gonna have a fun segment let's call What You Watching. So Ernesto, we'll start with you. What have you been watching?
Well, Matthew, it has been quite a bit. So I've been making it out to the theaters. I've gone to the theaters at least 3 or 4 times. I
Nice.
know we were trying to hit all these. There's quite a few things that we're sharing this week, but one of the main things that we're not is this movie Rental Family starring Brendan Fraser, and it is absolutely beautiful. It is a beautiful, heartfelt film where Brendan Fraser is like this fish out of water. He's kind of adjusting to Japanese culture. Um, he's as an actor, and he's led to this company that's like a rental family company. You can rent out actors, and they will do certain. They'll like one of the first things he gets hired for is to pretend to be this girl's husband from her family, so she can go off and live her life as a gay woman but it's because of the Japanese culture that they had to do it this way. It's just so for show for the family that she's with somebody. So it was very interesting because they used this dynamic to give us an insight into into the different things of the Japanese culture. Another one, he pretended to be a reporter for a dying actor to record his memoirs, but he kind of led to like this beautiful friendship, and one of them he had to pretend to be this little girl's father. The little girl thought that this was her dad that abandoned her, and Brendan Fraser was acting like, building. He was actually building a relationship with this woman, but it was so that they can get into the school, so the school didn't view her as a single mother, so that her kid could be accepted. It was very very interesting. But it's beautiful, a beautiful performance by Brendan Fraser. I was totally moved. I when it hits VOD, whenever you can watch it, I highly highly recommend it.
Yeah, when you said you had watched it, and I also wanted to catch it before we started recording this episode. Yeah, it just like it literally just was gone from the theaters, so I completely missed it. But this was, I mean, this was featured in the National Board of Review as one of the top films, and yeah, it looked really good from the trailer, so I really wanted to see it. But yeah, I just have to wait a little bit longer. But I'm glad to hear that it's as good as that the reviews were saying.
Yeah, I think for me the most interesting thing was just these different situations that they viewed as like in Japanese culture, that this is why they do this thing. I think like the girl here in this poster, she posed as this guy's mistress to his wife so that he wouldn't have to really come out.
Oh yeah,
It's like it's
interesting.
just it's just very interesting, and but I really loved it. They really tied it together in the end. It was very heartfelt. I could see a nomination for Brendan Fraser for Best Actor from this film. It was very good.
Yeah, I'm surprised this movie, aside from the National Board of Review, we're not getting that much attention, even though we were hearing a little bit about it um, prior to this. And so I'm hoping, just want to double check here if we might have missed a nomination other than the National Board of Review, which is not really a nomination, it's just more of an honorary title. But let's see here. Nope. Chicago. Oh, it did nab a Critics' Choice Award for Best Young Actor Actress for Shannon Mahina Gordon or Gorman.
Which
So
is the
there
little
was,
girl. She was fantastic. She was good. She was fantastic.
and that's as far as yeah. And then it was the National Board of Review for top 10 films, and that is for the most part it. I'm not seeing anything for Brendan Fraser. A lot of smaller nominations for um, looks like the director of the film. Yeah, for the director. For yeah, so nothing for Brendan Fraser, which is interesting
Yeah,
from what based on your review of the movie.
yeah. So
Um,
the
y-
only other
yeah, but I
thing
can't wait to watch it.
you should definitely should. So the only other thing I want to talk about that we're not sharing, which you've already watched, is I'm like halfway through the morning show,
Oh,
and you told me that it wasn't good, and I'm here to tell you that you were wrong, Matthew. You can tell Megan that I said that. This season is so good.
bro, wait. How far did you get?
I just finished episode 5. She so Chris Hunter just went on the podcast and all that.
Okay,
They had the big reveal.
okay. It's after that.
Oh, okay. So
It's after that.
So
Like I
I'm at
said,
the-
like I said, if you remember, I said the first half was really good.
oh, okay.
The first half was good. I think, let me double check. How many episodes are there? I can
Probably
tell you the exact episodes where I fell off.
because I'm
Hold
watching
on.
at the end. I actually just finished episode 5 today, and I was like, "What is he talking about?" I said, I mean, I think the Olympic stuff was really interesting. I think like them navigating the next phase of news. Like I thought that was really interesting. This whole cover up that they're trying to that Reese Witherspoon's character is trying to uncover is super interesting.
Okay. So I 100% agree with you. That episode when with Chris Hunter, right?
Yeah, the anchor reporter she gets accused of doping for the Olympics. So then
Yes.
her and this
in the
girl,
past.
her and this girl go on this like bro podcast, which is owned by the network now, and which is
Yes.
apparently like the thing that's paying everybody's salary because it's so popular. They go on this podcast and they kind of like air out their dirty laundry.
Yes. Great episode.
Yeah, I mean,
It was
fantastic.
a good episode. I love what's her character's name? Maya Jordan. I love her arc so far
Yes,
at this point of the show.
yes.
And Reese Witherspoon, whatever. I honestly
It's
like
it's
I
fine.
I
this-
like I like her at this point of the show. It has not gotten crazy yet. The pacing, however, changes in episode 6, 7, and you said you got to episode
I just finished 5. So you telling me episode 6 is where so I'm at the peak now and I'm on my way down. That's what you're telling me.
Okay, so you've reached halfway. There's 10 episodes. Episode 7, 8, and 9. 6 was actually pretty solid. I like 6. 7, 8, 9 is where, to me, tonally, the pacing, the stories that they choose to follow got a little bit downhill for me.
Okay.
And then 10, I felt like they wrapped it up. They kind of got back on track and wrapped it up quite nicely. However, it was those 3 episodes where I felt like it was a drag.
All right.
So-
So I
yes,
will give it
6
I
was
will,
good.
I
Yeah,
will give it another chance. I will
Also, our boy, Green Lantern, Rubber Ridge. What's his name?
Aaron Pierre.
Aaron
Yeah.
Pierre is in it. in
Yeah,
this
that's right. He's got a guest spot on it.
Yeah,
Which
he's
I
like,
was unexpected. I was like, "Oh yeah. Oh hey. There you are."
Oh, and there's your muscles. Oh
Yeah.
yes, there it is.
Oh, there you are with your shirt off. This is why this season did well. That's what Megan liked.
This is why you're in the show.
This is why you liked it. But okay, all right. So we'll see what it's like once I finish the season.
Yeah, I'd love to hear your update on the back half of the season.
Okay. All right. So
Then
The
we
re-
can have a better conversation afterward because, like, yes, I agree with you. First half, good. Second half, we'll see.
the rest of the stuff I have is everything else that we're sharing, which we actually didn't
Okay.
discuss what order we're going to go in. So you
Right.
just tell me whichever order you want to go in.
Surprise me. Give me. We'll do. Actually, let's do the movie first.
Ha! That's the one I had queued up. Ha! Like a good magician does. Ha!
Now you see me. There it is.
Now you see me. There's the poster.
All right.
All right.
This movie, Now You See Me, Now You Don't, was we missed it in theaters with all the craziness that was going on within the Thanksgiving holiday. And so this one kind of came and went for us. And then it just came out on VOD and then we were able to watch it then. It's not great.
It was fine. I mean, I think it was just super campy. It was a good movie to put on in the background. Like I didn't fully pay attention to the movie, but I thought it was fine. I mean, it's not as good as the first one. I feel like the first one was the best one, and
Yes.
then the second one was okay, and then the third one was like a little bit lower. But I mean, it was fine. I could tell you picked up what was going to happen towards the end. He's like, "I'm an orphan." I was like, "Oh, I bet that's going to be part of the reveal in the end." I even called the bullet catch. I was like, they're like,
yes,
no,
so did I.
they show it and they go, "Oh, look, the bullet catch." I go, "Oh, I bet that's gonna be in the finale."
That's gonna be important.
As soon as she shot him, I was like, "Oh, look, they did the bullet catch."
It was what's so fun. So spoilers on this movie. uh, Well, now you see me.
But it's got our boy Dominic Sessa in it. He's kind of like a young Jesse Eisenberg.
Yes, he was great.
Yeah, he's good. He's
He was
so
an
good.
asshole, but he was great
Yeah.
in this. But he was also an asshole in the holdovers, and he had a little bit of turn apart as well.
And is that
Uh,
other act? There's that other guy, who ended up being Justice.
Yeah,
Justice
Justice
Smith?
Smith.
Is that his name?
He would. Yes, he was in.
I saw the
Jurassic
TV
World:
Glow,
Fallen
Jurassic
Kingdom. He was
World.
in Dungeons and Dragons. Honor Among Thieves, and he was also in Pokemon Detective Pikachu.
That's right.
Um,
I like him.
and he's a good actor. I like him as an actor. Um, this movie's downfall was the script. My God,
It's
this
just
movie was
so
written
campy.
horribly.
It was just so campy.
The dialogue was awful. Like it was just pun after pun.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, I'm the better musician. I'm gonna do the thing. And it's like, what are you talking about? Like no one talks that way.
They didn't even do the joke from the trailer, which is the only part of the trailer I enjoyed, is when they're in that chateau and Woody Harrelson's character goes up to it and he goes, "Open sesame," and he goes, "Did you have to try that?" Or what? I forgot what he
Yes,
says.
I think you're right. You're right. Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about? He says something to him. Oh, was that worth the try? And then Jesse Eisenberg goes, "Was it?" Like I thought that was a funny moment that never fucking happened in the movie. I was like, that was a good moment that they took out. Like
I feel like for me, like the villain Rosamund Pike was super cheesy. It's like I don't know. This movie was never
and the accent.
this.
Her accent threw me off.
Yes, it was like an Australian accent. The return of the main cast. Okay, I mean, yeah, shit, that was obviously the draw, and they also brought back the other character from the second movie that replaced Isla Fisher. Like technically, like the character they brought a new character in because Isla Fisher was not in the second movie, so they
Yes.
brought in instead.
It's not Kristen Milotti. It looks like her though.
Who is? They brought back. Lizzie Chaplin.
Yeah.
She played Lola in the second movie, and then they brought her back. And I just feel like it was like a series of like, these characters are from where it's like it's the Fast Five of the Now You See Me movies. We're just bringing all of them back.
It was,
and
that is the best way to put it. Is that this franchise reached the fast like I don't even know what you want to call it.
In 3 movies.
Like it was just super cheesy. It was just like pun after pun. And it's just like now they're like super. And then at the end they become like they're like secret agent superheroes now.
Yeah,
they work for the Eye. Mark Ruffalo. He's a hologram.
Which sure, whatever. They're like I was waiting for him to pop up. He's like he's gonna pop up eventually. They keep talking about the fucking Eye and where's Mark Ruffalo in this? They're like, oh, there you are. I'm a hologram. Couldn't make it on set. Sorry, guys.
You thought this was gonna make you a horseman? Well, it did.
You thought you could do all this work to be a horseman? Think again. Nah, you're right. You did a good job.
No, you're right. You're right. It totally worked.
For Justin Smith's character to like he was like in it this whole time, I was like, all right. He is the son that this was like the son of like this random story that you brought up in the halfway to the movie. He's the son that was supposedly dead and has been hiding so long, and then also because of your father who was slightly into magic, you decided to make this whole elaborate plan under the ruse of magicians. I was like, no, man, no. That threw me off more than anything.
Wait, he does the napkin trick. She's like, father taught me that trick. He taught me too. It's the only way I got his attention.
Like, do you think that is actually your father right now? Is that what you're saying right now?
Oh man.
This movie was a little bit of a disappointment. I'm not going to lie.
I expected it to be better. I think
yeah. Grounded in its own reality. The first one, it's not even. It's like this 2 and 3 were not even close to the first one. And now, and I had to I did like a recap of 1 and 2. I was like the video I watched was like everything you need to know about like 1 and 2 before you watch the third one. I said okay. So they recapped the first movie. It was like, yeah, I remember all this. Yeah, I remember all that. They recapped the second one. I was like, what? when, when did all this shit happen? Completely over my head. I was like, wow, I don't remember anything about the second movie. And then the third one, and then unfortunately they killed off Morgan Freeman, who said a few words, said a pun or two, and then they're like, oh,
he
bang
hid,
out.
he's like, "What do you want to see me disappear?" And then he disappears and he shot. It's like you didn't disappear, you died. He just right behind the wall. The guy goes, "Ah!" He just shoots. Don't let me die in vain. Just leave me here to die in my chateau.
Do it for the horseman.
For the eye.
Oh my god.
Oh man.
Want to see a magic trick? I'm gone.
Pow. Oh shit, you got me.
Oh shit. Oh my god. This.
Okay, all right.
Okay. All right. All right. Get it
But
back
you know
together.
what?
All right.
But you know
Needless
what?
to say,
I would go back and rewatch it. I'd rewatch it. because it's just so cheesy, but I love it. Like when they explained the magic trick, I was like, oh, that's how they did it. That's what was my favorite part. When they explain, when they do like the little explainer of like, oh, you didn't see this, but we misdirect you with this. Like that's what, to me, that's what makes these movies entertaining.
there was a weird cutaway where it was the end of the movie, and uh Justice Smith was like explaining, he's like, hey, I'm the guy. And like he's explaining his whole thing. It's about the illusion and whatever. And I forgot what line he said, where he was like, I'm actually the son of this. And they cut to Isla Fisher, and she gives like this weird like like turn, is like, are you surprised too? Like what was that? What are you doing? This movie's bad. This It's not a good movie. However, it is bringing us joy. So I guess there's that.
I mean, this is my Fast and the Furious.
Don't get me like, sure. I mean, the original premise, a magician heists, it's a fun concept, but man, we need better script writers on this. You know what's even worse is that they greenlit this as 2 movies. So they've already when they brought back the Now You See Me franchise, they brought it back for Now You See Me 3 and 4.
So we're getting another one.
We're getting another one. I'm trying to see if it's the same director, which also might be the problem of this. Let's see. I'm not seeing. This is the producer, me director. Now You See Me 4 is in development. Yeah, so that is obviously on the way.
Same
This
director?
director is a hit or miss for me. He is responsible for some weird comedies like so he did the action movie Gangster Squad back in 2013. He also did let's see here. I saw he did something else. Okay, probably his better known movie is Zombieland, which was really funny. I
Yeah.
did enjoy Zombieland. And then he did 30 Minutes or Less, which also starred Jesse Eisenberg. Then he moved on to do Gangster Squad, which was more of an action movie. He did a few episodes of several TV shows. And then he directed Venom,
Mm,
which the first Venom was better than, no, I think 2 was better than 1. And then
They're all
3 was
bad.
dog shit.
they're all bad.
Yeah, that's fair. So he did Venom. Then after that, a year later, he did Zombieland Double Tap, which was pretty funny. Also starring Jesse Eisenberg and Woody Harrelson. I just put that together. And then then the next movie after that he did was Uncharted with Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg, which was 50-50 for me.
That's solid. That's decent.
Solid. And the next movie he did after that was Now You See Me, Now You Don't, and then with Now You See Me 4 in development with him as a director. So, hit or miss movies, and this one was a swing and a miss for me. Yeah, to me, it's the script. The script was its downfall at the end of the day. I did not like the script at all. It was very cheesy, and I don't know. It just felt like these movies were never that. So why did we turn to that?
But
And I
that's
liked the beginning of the movie. I thought that was an interesting start to the film of like, here's these three amateurs pretending to be the horsemen, and then now the horsemen are dragging them into like the fold of this. And then like within all this ruse, they were able to bring them back, like the original horsemen back for like this like kind of coming like the new age versus the old like type of deal. And like they were doing that type of storyline. And I'm like, I'm okay with this. It was the dialogue that really got to me, where it's like this movie is just extremely cheesy and it's kind of taking me out. But the ideas around it is still very much the same, and the idea is still intriguing of these musicians that are running heists. And yeah,
it was just kind of like one liner after one liner.
yeah, yeah. Where would you give this as a 5-star rating?
At 3.
Okay, I can meet you there.
Yeah.
I can meet you at 3.
Yeah.
I was floating between a 2.5 and a 3, but yeah, I can do 3.
Yeah, I'd watch it again.
It made me laugh.
It made me laugh. It's a good turn your brain off and watch.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if not for nothing, they secured 3 young talented stars. Maybe not the best
Absolutely.
dialogue to read from, but between Justice Smith, Dominique Sessa, and Ariana Greenblatt, who has been a force recently in these last couple of movies that she's been featured in, like um I know she had a small role in Star Wars Ahsoka season 1 and Avengers Infinity War, I believe. And then she had a bigger role in Barbie. So she has a good agent, I'll tell you that. But yeah. So anyway, 3 out of 5 for Now You See Me, Now You
All right.
Don't. All right.
Now let's go to
Uh,
this one.
let's talk about it. Welcome to Derry, a show. I'll tell you what. Tell you what, Ernesto. If you told me at the beginning of the year what might be one of your favorite shows of the year, it was not even hit my my anticipated TV shows of 2025.
This
And
show is fucking terrifying.
yes,
Like, it is crazy how good it is. And especially like when you think about it in comparison to the movies, like It Welcome to Derry is way scarier than It Chapter 1 and It Chapter 2. So Bill Skarsgård is so fucking terrifying in this. And I think the pilot is what like really locks you in. It's like you're getting all this buildup. You think that I'm assuming we're going to talk spoilers.
yes,
So you
yeah,
get
we're
all
talking
this
spoilers.
buildup, and then you lead up with all these. You're meeting all these characters for at the end of the episode to just viciously massacre them. Like
Yes.
they massacre, like
It's
ripped
not
apart
even
these
they
little kids.
die; they get horrifically murdered.
Like horrifically, like you see this little boy get ripped apart by this flying demon baby, which is we
Yeah.
see that is it. I mean, he takes one of them and swings him and slams him into the projector glass. This little girl gets her arm ripped off and eaten, like just right there. I mean, it is horrific. It is
Yeah.
crazy. I mean, some of the
Before we even
imagery-
get to that, just go to the first shot, or
Oh,
no, the first
yes.
scene of the movie,
Yeah.
or the first scene of the pilot.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
horrifying. Of like the birthing of the demon baby.
Yes.
That was horrific. I was like, oh my god, that's how you're starting your show. And it's like it's those moments where you just kind of want to look away.
Yes.
It's like it's so disturbing, and it's like you're doing your job because I feel uncomfortable right now. And then you just go throughout the whole episode thinking, like you said, these are your group of the new losers that we're going to be following this season. And then the show's like, nope, these are not your kids you're following.
You're wrong. They're dead.
And I think that's a great misdirect for the first episode. And we're like,
Absolutely.
then what is this show about? You know, like what
Yeah.
am I getting myself into? And they did such an amazing job with the series.
They also gave us a lot of background lore on it and like different characters, and then like doing a lot of research, I found out like all of the Stephen King books are loosely connected, all
Mhm.
like with the Dark Tower series being like the center of the Stephen King universe, and like Dick Halloran is like he's one of the people who can shine like same thing with
Mhm.
like Carrie and John Coffey from the Green Mile, where these are people who can connect to whatever that energy source is that is part of this universe, and it is one of these like demons that's from one of these universes that came to Earth. So like to me, this show got me it is officially got me interested, and now I'm gonna do the deep dive and I'm gonna start reading like all these Stephen King books, starting with I'm finishing a book. I have like 30 minutes left of this book I'm reading right now, and then the next book I'm reading is Dark Tower, and then I'm just gonna start my journey
Okay.
on all the Stephen King books, and just kind of whatever I'm gonna find a read order online. Every single one I said says start with the Dark Tower and then work your way from there.
Interesting. Interesting. Okay.
So like I
Yeah,
not for
I think
nothing like I for me I think that this piece of work achieved its purpose, and like where I'm fully invested for whatever Welcome to Derry, whatever the series comes next, like, but even more so, just even got me hooked into being a Stephen King book reader, which I think ultimately is the goal, is to for him to sell more of his books. And to me, mission accomplished, because like Anthony Muschietti, the guy who directed most of the episodes, he was also the director of the Flash movie. Like he needs to do this. He just needs to focus on this.
yeah, stop doing Flash.
Yeah. I mean, he's
Don't
still
but then
still
again,
supposed to
he
be
is
doing Batman. He's still supposed to be doing the Batman series. So I don't
yes,
know.
he's doing the Batman, I think at the
Excuse me,
time
movie, not series.
yeah, it's a movie. I think I think the movie is called Batman Brave and the Bold
Yes.
or yeah, yeah. So, like, we'll see how I think he's still attached to direct that. We haven't got a lot of information from that yet. However, it seems like he's been busy with It Welcome to Derry. And it's crazy because it's weird to see a director like you did It Chapter 1 and 2. Great movies. Then your next movie after that was Flash. And I want to before I actually say that, let me verify that is actually true. Um It Chapter oh, he did Mama, it looks like as well, which is another horror movie.
Oh, is that the one with Olivia? No, Octavia Spencer. Mama. That's a good movie.
No, no, Ma is the one
Oh,
with
Ma.
Octavia
Yeah,
Spencer.
that's right.
Mama is the one with, looks like Jessica Chastain. Like, she looks like she's the main lead here. I have not seen this movie. Has a 6.2 on IMDb, so maybe hit or miss there. But yeah, so like, looks like he did Mama, which is a horror movie back in 2013. Then he did It, which was in 2017. It Chapter 2 in 2019. Okay, then I was right. Then he did The Flash. And then after that, he moved on to It Welcome to Derry. So for the better part of almost 10 years, and probably when he started developing the It movie is probably now a course of 10 years. He's been with this franchise.
Mm,
And the only deviation was when he was working on The Flash. Had multiple delays. And he was not the sole problem of that movie. There were a lot of other problems
that's
with that
true.
movie. Um, and uh,
That's
and
fair.
so yeah, so we're not going to give him the full like beat down for why that movie failed.
Only a little bit.
There were only a little bit, but then he goes right back into the Flash. I'm sorry, back to it, the series, and he directed 4 out of those 8 episodes. And yeah, there were all 8 episodes. 9, 8, 8, no, 8 episodes, right? And so this is where this guy, like, he knows his shit now. Like, he is fully engrossed himself, and I would argue that this series is better than the 2 movies.
Oh, 100%. But I think because we're given the time, more time with the characters. It's not we're not trying to cram it all into 2 hours.
Yeah.
It has so much more room to breathe. We got to learn and care about so many characters. I mean, we have our main leads, but then also like Richie, the little boy who dies.
Oh,
I mean, he dies sacrificing um, that girl who has one eye. I can't remember her
yes.
name right now. But then she,
Marge.
Marge, who ends up being Richie's mom later on in the for It Chapter 1, and I love that we get that callback in the finale when It is talking to them and he's talking to her about that, and he's like tomorrow, yesterday, and just understanding like he doesn't experience time the way that we do. Like he goes back and forth, so we don't know exactly where he is. So like it chapter 2
Yeah.
could be his death, but then we'll still get uh Welcome to Derry season. I think they're signed on for 3 seasons, where it can kind
Yes.
of go. It can go forward and backwards. And I mean,
Well,
we got exploration of so many other different characters.
yeah, I think they've already said that the season 2 is going to go back another 28, 27 years and follow a massacre, I guess they were talking about in the season. It's almost like a shooting that was in the street that was featured in the opening credits of It Welcome to Derry. It was
Oh,
like happening, it was like in the 20s, either late 20s, early 30s. So that's when the show is going to go back to. Like that's the time period we're going to feature when it, because he comes out every like 27, 28 years. So
hmm.
instead of going forward with it, we're going back. So like the 2019 movie was present day, and then if you want to think of it that way, It Chapter 2 was present day. The first movie was in the 80s. Then you go back 28 something years later is the It Welcome to Derry, and then season 1, and then season 2 even goes back even further than that. See the next time that he appeared. And I liked the 2 movies. I didn't really give it much of attention after the 2 movies came out. I was like, "Yeah, this was a good horror film." Um, but this made me care. Like,
Yes.
I think, to your point, like, I now feel invested into the It storyline, especially this version of the It storyline, and I felt more connected to these characters than I have with a lot of shows I saw this year.
Oh
And
yeah.
when Ricky sacrificed himself, I didn't tear up, but I almost did. It's like, this is the investment that, these, great character arcs that you're having for these characters, and what I'm more impressed with, that this show was not afraid to take risks that a bunch of other shows are not willing to do. And
Hmm.
like for a lot of other shows and these horror movies, like kids are off limits, or they have like one kid that dies and it becomes like demonic or like pushing the plot forward. This one, I felt that nobody was safe.
No.
Not a single person was safe on this show. And it brought me like anxiety when a great setup when the father played by who was the Hank Gordon or Grogan, Hank Grogan, when he was down in the sewers and like he saw like his wife down there
Hmm.
and he was like, "No, that's it." Like then he shoots her and then you see like it kind of like come out in this very demonic smile and then she kind of scurries away and he tells Hank is like, "Whatever you think is down here is not real." Right? And they establish that in that scene. Then when we get to the very end and we know the kids are there, but he doesn't know the kids are there, and you see them turn the corner, I would have put money on it at that moment. It's like, "Oh my god, he's about to shoot his kid.
He did.
He's about to."
He technically did. His
You're right.
his partner jumped in the way of his bullet and stopped him from killing his kid because he was 100% gonna shoot his kid. But and
And that's
I loved his arc because like so Dick Halloran is like somebody who shines, so he basically
mhm,
has like powers where he's like a seer. He can like see into people's minds and like take control of their minds and stuff. So there's a scene where Hank Grogan is held at gunpoint, and then he tells him what's so interesting is like it's like most people think about their regrets, and what they're fearing death. He goes, with you, it was just you were just collecting information of everything that was happening in the room. He goes, I would
mhm,
hate to be on your bad side. I forget exactly what he
yeah,
says. And then even towards the end of the series, he tells him, he mentions that, he's a man without that he is a man without fear. And
yeah,
that he that it was hard to get to him, but obviously he figured it out to get to him
yeah.
through his son.
Even some of the lesser known stories that were happening, like there was a character that we saw that, she was kind of aiding it,
Hmm.
for years now, and because that she thought that it was her father kind of coming back from the dead. And then we see, or maybe this is just her father in general, not really like dead or anything, but this is how her father decided to move on and she wanted to be a clown, and they did some really good backstory on that. And then we see like it kind of taking the form of this person, and then that is whatever reason he decides to stick with for the rest of his the years to come after that. based off the form that he chooses because he's a shapeshifter. He can do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
But this is like this origin this is true form that he decides to take. And it was interesting to see that storyline and how it affected that character that was featured in the It films and kind of see that backstory. And it's like you made me care about a horror franchise I could have cared less before this show. And now it makes me want to go back and rewatch the movies and kind of like you said dive into the lore a little bit more. And it's incredible.
I mean, even in some of the imagery, like the movie theater scene, having the kid come out of the screen, or having the baby come out, the demon baby come out, and showing how it showed us massacring these kids, and then like when Marge loses her eye, that whole scene in the shop where you see her eye coming out and she takes the saw out. I mean, we were like on the edge
Mhm.
of my seat. I really enjoyed watching this week to week. I think it served really, really well as a week to week watch because we were able to like watch an episode and then kind of digest it a little bit. Um, I also, given even though it's supernatural nature, I think that there is some grounded storylines. Just talking about just
For sure.
racism and just kind of life in the '60s, or even I love how the writers understand like some of the horrors from that time, like when we're down in the sewers and it is prying on their fears, and he shows the soldiers Uncle Sam because during that time everybody was being drafted into war and then to going into the army. So I thought that like that's a great way to capture how people were feeling during that time. As it was just it's I mean it was great writing, fantastic visuals. It's pretty scary. Like it's probably one of the scariest things I've seen in a while. And something who that our friend Brandon who's been on the show, he mentioned that they should have put the finale in the theaters like they did with Stranger Things, and I think that would have served really well.
Yeah, I feel like I feel like these shows and these finales going into theaters is gonna be a dime a dozen, a very rarefied that if that happens. But
Yeah.
I don't disagree with that. I think the finale was fantastic. A little bit before the finale, when they brought back the kid that they were searching for, like in the beginning of the movie or
Mm.
the beginning of the series.
Hmm.
I
Oh
forgot the
yes,
kid's name.
Maddie.
Maddie, yes. When we saw that he had been taken from Pennywise earlier on, I 100% believed that he came back. He was able to find
Mm.
his way out of the sewage and like, "Hey, I wanna help you guys." And I was like, "Oh my god, he's alive." Like, we all thought he was dead.
I was for a minute, but then I started noticing, I was like, wow, he's really, really pale. Like more than not just getting sunlight, like you've been in the
Mhm.
sewers, like it's like deadly pale. And then when he's in the sewers and he does the really turn, I was like, ah, I wasn't fully convinced. I had an idea, but I wasn't fully convinced that he was alive.
It
But they
had me
made
up
it
until the
believable.
turn.
Yeah, they made it believable though. It was a great turn.
Yeah, I was like, "Oh my god, they brought him back, and yeah, they're gonna try to, get him, and he's showing him how to do it, all that stuff." And then when he turned, I was like, "No way, this guy like Pennywise is a savage, man." Like he is so good at manipulation. And again, the story is written so well, even so much so that the kind of the storylines intermingling when they found that or the the Indian the Native American women like gave the other person from her tribe like the the
Like the shard.
the shard, right? And she wanted to like here use this for protecting yourself within the demon, and then they're going into the sewers as well. Like between like that group of people and the kids going in the sewers at the same time. Then when there was chaos happening, the shroud, the shard fell, and then our main lead, the young girl, Lily happened to be pushed down into a corner exactly where that was to save her life. Two things that were completely unrelated now forming into one, and now she has the shroud again. Great storytelling is like it was literally just like it felt very fluid of her, and then like that saved her life from Pennywise just eating her in that moment, and also a great reveal like when we first fully see Pennywise. It's like it was a great build up, and then he's like, "Hello," and then like it just really brings in the terror. And also to your point, this is 100% one of the scariest stuff I've seen. Between the demon baby, between Pickle Dad,
Oh
between
yeah.
just Pickle Dad was weird. Um, all the different forms that Pennywise chooses to take. When we were seeing the flashbacks of like that demonic priest that was kind of
Oh yeah.
invading some of the tribes back in like when it first started forming, also terrifying. And like to your point, they spared no expense on this show. They put money into it and it shows. It looks amazing when they get to some of these big spectacle moments. And like the fire, that whole episode surrounded by the black box fire, which was
Yeah.
horrifying in to
Yes.
say the least. And then Richie sacrificing his life at the end of that. It's like this show from the first episode brought stakes and brought like, these people are not just gonna fake die and come back or not close calls, like they're dead. And that holds weight. And when you can do that in a show, it makes me more invested.
Oh yeah. I mean, when he brings all the kids to the auditorium and it's the principal talking, and then he just he just like tears the principal apart, and all the kids start screaming, and then he just
Yeah.
in one fell swoop just like collectively like gets him into his capture when he opens his face and shows him his
Yeah.
true form, and their like eyes turn white, and he like hypnotizes him almost. Like and he like Pied Piper style, just like leading them back to the sewers. They're all floating.
Yep.
I mean, it's good shit. Like it's just
And
it's
also when the kids were like at the very end, like the climactic moment, they're all pushing to get down to the tree. And then you see like the ghost of Richie going over to help them. I was like, no
and he
way. And he
flicks
looks
off.
over at Pennywise, gives him the finger. Incredible.
I mean, but what an earned moment, right?
Yes.
Because he killed him. You know, he killed him in there, but then now he like and just him being able to come back and help them at that last minute. It was beautiful. It was just really good.
Yeah.
And also I was like I really like Dick Haller and then as a character, and then I started looking and like he's in the It movies. He's the hotel clerk
He's
from The Shining. And I was like,
Mhm.
that's what clued me in that everything was connected. And that's when I went down the rabbit hole. I was like, wow, it's like, oh, this is connected to this, and this is part of this. So I was like, this show got me invested. So like, I think mission accomplished. I also have to say the production design is fucking gorgeous. Like just
Mhm.
how they were able to recreate like that 1960s style. Like I always appreciate when they're able to do it correctly. And I think
Yeah.
they did a fantastic job.
Yeah, this might be one of my favorite shows of the year.
Oh, it
Like I
absolutely is. It's on the list.
Yeah, I was not expecting to enjoy this as much. I think that's part of why becoming one of my favorites is because it was something completely unexpected. And then I was like, "Oh, people are talking about this show." I was like, "Oh, it's pretty popular. I'm sure it's, has some scary moments in it." I didn't think it was that good until I started watching it. And I was like, "Damn, they cracked the code here." Um, so yeah, Welcome to Derry. If you haven't watched it already, do yourself a favor. All episodes are out on HBO Max right now. Again, we might have spoiled a few things, but you knew that when you walked in here. You
Yeah.
knew we were going to talk
You know
about
you
a
were
few
talking
things.
about it. It's worth your time.
Yeah, it is 100% worth your time. And from one show that's worth your time to another, we're going to be talking about the show that just wrapped up a few days ago, Pluribus. That's on Apple TV. Well, I guess it's not Apple TV Plus anymore. It's just Apple TV
Just
now.
Apple TV now.
Um, and from the creator of Breaking Bad, Vince Gillian, Ernesto, you were preaching its high praises last episode. I did the full quick binge, the whole like I said, I watched everything, and then the finale dropped, and I watched that too. So the first season's over. Is season 2 is coming soon. Your thoughts?
Well, I want to hear. Well, hold on. I got you
Okay,
onto this show. I
yeah,
I want to hear your thought. I want to start with you. I want to hear your thoughts on
okay,
this show.
fair enough. I really enjoy this show. I knew I was going to a lot of hype around it. I was already interested in watching it. But it's what I really enjoyed a lot from this show is that I always felt that I have always enjoyed Vince Gillian's storytelling tactics,
Yes.
but you have to be in the mood for those storytelling tactics. And what I mean by that is like he can do drawn out things, but he shoots them in interesting ways where like there was one episode where it was more or less completely silent. and we're just watching these two characters, and this was like later on in the season. These two characters kind of going about their lives in isolation, in complete loneliness, and like yes, nothing happened, but also a lot happened at the same time,
Yeah.
and it's all about the characters. And I think Vince Gillian does a great job at those character moments. And we see that a lot with Breaking Bad. It's a very similar shooting style, very similar vibe to Breaking Bad. And you watched more and all of Better Call Saul, so you have more of a maybe appreciation for his shooting style and his direction and his characters. Um, I did not watch all. I watched the first season of Better Call Saul, but if I were to rewatch it, I'll have to start from the beginning
Yeah.
because that was many years ago. But for me, it was like a refreshing it was very refreshing to watch this show because it was very different from shows I've seen this past year and for the last couple of years. Like he brings his unique style that's really, like I said, refreshing, but also like it's kind of like it's nothing's random. He's not just doing this like these
Yeah.
long periods of people just walking or flying or like this, even the second episode, we were following this person who were like doing some cleanup, and then we just followed this character going from like from a truck and then driving to then a plane and then taking a shower and then getting over all the way to Carol's house. And like we didn't really need to see that, but it just kind of brings us into the world a little bit more. I think that's what he does a really good job in. It's like just kind of sucks you in. Like I didn't have to show you 10 minutes of them getting from point A to point B, but it feels like that you and what I feel like Vince Gilligan does a lot really well is that it's the journey, not the destination with his shows. And I feel like this whole show was about that. And I feel myself thinking more about the themes of this show rather than the events that are happening in this show, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, like you have your main storyline, which is all the entire world is infected by this thing where everybody shares this single consciousness, which I think that on its in itself, like just without the character development, is a really interesting concept. Of like
Yes.
just the whole premise and concept of the show by itself is interesting, but then you add on his writing, which I think is the strongest in TV that there is out there. Like he just knows how to really write characters. It's really like Carol's exploration of herself. It's like a self exploration of her as a human being and how she chooses to interact with the world. You have you have this people slash person who they've like taken over everybody, and she goes through the whole thing where she tries to take over them, where she tries to find out information, and she tries to like hijack one to get information, and then they they all fucking leave her. I mean, that was hilarious, where you just see everybody just pack up, and then you're on a
Hmm.
shot of her in her cul-de-sac, and you can see it in the distance, like
Yeah, they're just
miles and
going
miles
away.
away of cars lined, like just like setting that up. You can just appreciate the production value just for that one scene. Another scene is when she's like basically contemplating her death before she tells them to come back, which I
Hmm.
thought was a great turn for her character. I saw it coming, but I thought it was an earned moment in the series. Like it was earned for her to have that character, for her to have that growth in her character, to realize is that she's better off with somebody. Like you can't just live in isolation like that for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Was that moment where she's in the cul-de-sac and she's shooting off fireworks, and it like that's practical. Like there's no way. Like, and it just shoots right
The-
by the side of her head. Like, I mean, I was like, whoa, that shit was. I mean, it was a great scene. But you learn,
I
but you bringing to your point is how purposeful how he shoots everything and how he writes everything. Is that in that moment, I totally understood what she was going through without her
yes.
having to say one word.
Like and also, but it was building up to that. Like
Yes.
that moment, that whole episode feels earned because we were building to these character turns, more or less. And for Carol in that moment where half the episode was split on Carol's like, isolation, and
Hmm.
then
Manusos.
man Manusos, his character, exploration as in exploration isolation. And like we'll get to his character in a second, but to your point with Carol, like she was kind of just going about her day, but her performance, Ray
Rhea
Shehorn,
Seahorn, in which knew that it was going to be great because she is fantastic in Better Call Saul. So like I was so glad to see that she's the main lead of this. She's fantastic.
yeah, the like her performance in that scene in particular, like it's just like she's just kind of swirling in her chair, fireworks are going off, and you see it, like it just tips over.
Yeah.
And you think that she doesn't know, and she's like kind of just like aloof of the idea, and then she just turns and she goes without it's all facial expression,
Yep.
and it's just like, this turn is gonna hit me. Blank, deep stare, and you would think because like they're not gonna kill her in that moment. Like she didn't move, not a single inch. And then it just moved right past her. Or you would think it would kind of be a dud and it wouldn't fully ignite, which I was fully expecting. The fact that I think it hits harder, the fact that it did go off and it near missed hit her, like it near missed her. It was that moment where I was like, whoa, like she gives no fucks at all in this moment. And that's what that scene told you.
Yeah.
That's you can see how far deep she's gone. And that's like what the importance of that episode is. Like it's all about the character. And then it's so emotional where we see like again, no really context. You're just seeing her go about the day. She buys paint. For all we know, she's buying paint and she's making a target or something. Like you don't know what she's doing with that paint. It wasn't until the end where we see Zoja comes back and you're thinking like, hey, they're just doing a wellness check. And then it pans out and you see that she told him to come back. Brilliant writing.
Yeah.
Brilliant writing as far as like at this point in the show of like this woman was willing to almost kill herself to be alone for the rest of her life.
So even more so, so building off of that moment, so where this is where Carol has accepted the others as like,
Yes.
Zoja's in particular as her, I guess what did she call her? Her chaperone. Her
Chaperone.
So
Yeah.
what a complete flip to the very end when they all leave Manusos and she leaves with Zoja, but then she has
Yeah.
that interaction and she learns about her eggs and then she has to be the one that leaves her. I just thought that was such an interesting flip because it's not what she thought it was. She was completely enthralled by this relationship that she had and then not realizing that they still had these ulterior motives and that they have a way to convert her into one of the others and that they're
Well,
actively
and
working on it.
yes. And what's crazy about this because we also have the other 12 people that are still, not converted. And what the ending, the beginning of the finale, and the reason why it's so good is, and also the whole show is, it's like the inciting incident, which the first episode is actually pretty horrific.
Yeah.
Like all those people turning is like it felt like a very different, like the pilot felt very different for the rest of the from the rest of the show.
Yeah.
And it's like it really was this invasion that she's clearly rightfully freaking out about. And like these people or this entity who's kind of taking over everybody and like a lot of people died because they couldn't handle the conversion, and then other people are just kind of going about their days and now they're kind of living in this collective hive mind. And what's very funny and it kind of ironic about everything is that most of the stuff that they're doing is performative to the other people that are like still living, the 13 others. We
Yes.
have Manusos who wants nothing to do with them, like which again we'll get back to his character in a second. But the other people of like when Carol's like, I want to see the other remaining people that are like me. And then that's very earlier on because I have that thought too. Is like you try to find those other people
Yeah.
and you see their reactions. And then it's honestly at that moment where you're like, and this is where the moral themes come into play here, which is why I really enjoy in the show, is who's wrong and who's right? And
Yeah.
is there a wrong or right in that scenario? Like, do you just accept what it is or do you try to fix it?
Mm.
And and I love that when we got to those because she was the only one that felt the need to be like, okay, how do we reverse this? And they're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
There's people who are living in denial. that like, hey, this is my family, and they're like, they're not your family. This is not your child. Like they are this entity now,
Yeah,
and but they're not willing to accept that. And it's interesting that Carol eventually gets to that point at a certain point of the show.
but what? So you just brought up a really good point because she does real. I think she realizes in the beginning that she's not that person. But then she fell it. But then she herself fell into the trap with Zoja. Like the Zoja mission accomplished. They used her. I mean, she literally the first thing she does when she meets her is she pulls out a copy of her book, and she's
Yes.
like, "Did did you guys try to find somebody who looks like one of my characters?" And they're like, "Yeah." Yeah, that's exactly what we
Yeah.
did. Like she pulled up a copy of her book, and it was like almost like exactly her.
Yes. Well, it was like because they knew that, Carol is a lesbian, they then found somebody that can easily attract it to her because it was also part of the book that character in her book was supposed to be a female, but she felt like she couldn't put that into her story. So therefore they found a real life person that looks very similar or the female version of the character in her book. It was very malicious to try to get on her good side. But it's weird because you never really know who's like again the right and the wrong the like a matter of choices is like are their intentions truly genuine, like hey we want you to be part of our collective, but is it malicious or is it genuine? Like it's such a subversion of what we would see from normal alien takeover the world movies. Is like we
Yes.
want you to be a part of us, and but this entity that's being that's taking over everybody is not an asshole. It's not the villain, or are they the villain? The idea of you losing your free will, is that worth being in the collective hive mind as they subscribe? Is that being more of a transcendent experience, whereas the entity also explained that Carol is like someone who is barely staying afloat and basically drowning and unwilling to accept a life vest. Like it's such, and then you won't know that unless you join the hive mind, but then you lose your your basically your freedom as an individuality. And so like it's so good to like I don't know what is the right answer.
But I think
Like in the sense what the story is trying to say.
see, but I think that that's good because it makes you're not like you can't figure out what's the ending of this is going to be. Like we don't she the
No,
ending of the show is she's either going to convert everybody or she's going to eventually become one of them or they're all going to die or what I don't know, something along those lines, but like there's going to be a purpose. His ending will have a purpose. And whether it's
for
3
sure.
seasons, 4 seasons, 5 seasons, he uh how long did Better Call Saul last? Wasn't that 6 seasons? 6 or
6.
7? Um I'm here for the ride. I'm here for this ride for a long time. I love all his work. Like I'm just a Vince Gilliam a fanboy at this point. Like like I'll call like I love the way because he takes these premises and it's not even necessarily about the premise. It's mainly he's using the premise as an exploration to explore this character, this
Absolutely.
person that he's created. So really, that's just what I love about his work. So I'm here. I hope it gets all the awards next year. I love Rhea Sehorn. She's fantastic. You should go back and watch Better Call Saul. If you appreciate
Yeah.
Pluribus this much, you should go back and just watch Better Call Saul as a series. It is
Yeah.
100% worth your time.
Yeah, and there's so many other things about this show too. Like when we experienced like the guy who went to Vegas, I forgot his name. Um
Yes, yes.
Mr. His character's name Mr. uh Di Di Beatty. I'm not sure exactly his character, but his character, the one who moved to Vegas, the Indian character, um, he has such a very unique perspective on like his situation. We've seen other characters who were not converted decided to continue the way that they're living. They understand the circumstances, but they just want their lives to be status quo.
Yeah.
Where he's is taking the approach of like, I can do whatever I want, right? And like, why not take full advantage of it? I'm gonna, have sex with all these women. I'm gonna play, I'm going the penthouse. I'm going to have like this play acting of this whole scenario. And
The poker
it's
game.
so creepy. The whole James Bond bit was
Yeah.
hilarious. What's so creepy about it is that like as soon as he leaves, they're done. Like everything that's all a charade about just appeasing this one individual. And then as soon as he like leaves the room, they all just kind of go stoic and start cleaning up and
Yep.
going back to what they were doing. And it's interesting to see like what this hive mind mentality like they what they were saying and within all this is like, oh, we do this for efficiency, this we do this to carry the bodies over, like they're still in these other quadrants of the world, but they also do things for, I mean, they're trying to survive, I guess, but they're just doing things more logically and less about like individuality but more about just as a collective unit, and they're all happy, there's no crime, there's no this, it's like, but it's there's a cost there, and it's a cost that Carol is not willing to sacrifice, which you mentioned that she was buying into the idea of having a partner with
Yes.
her chaperone, and, like, they're doing all this performative stuff and kind of exploring around and having, like, these little romantic vacations, so to speak, but again, it's all performative just to appease Carol, but the only reason why Carol is willing to dive into all this is because, 1, she didn't wanna be lonely anymore, but 2, as was established in the Vegas episode, that they found out that they could not convert her without her permission. And then it became for her at ease that she can now live a life without stress. When then she realized that now they still may need her position, her um,
Permission. Yeah.
permission, but they found an easier way to do it that may be a loophole that don't need her position, then that's when she starts getting scared, and that's the horrifying aspect of this show, is like their motives are still like, "We're not gonna stop trying to convert you." And that's where she was like, "Okay, well, I still don't like that. My morals and my values are still the same. I'm not gonna let that happen." And then it ends beautifully, like you mentioned before, with her then leaving Zoja, and then Manusos comes out, and you think she's, like, helping him, so to speak. I guess he is, but when he was like, "What is this?" and she goes, "An atom bomb." And a great callback from earlier in the season, where it's like, "If I asked you to get me one of these, would you do it?" And she just did it, 1, because she could, and 2, as a security. It's like, "You try to mess with me, I can set this off.
Yeah. It's like,
Like, I'll kill everybody."
I mean, I can't wait for season 2. But so what was your take on Manusos? Because I really enjoyed him as a character because he did not give a fuck. And he to
No.
me, he was kind of the embodiment of like the ultimate moral code. Like to the point where he
Yeah.
didn't even want to steal gas. Like anybody who he siphoned gas from, he would like put money on there, or like with with his medical bill, he made them write an invoice and that he was going to pay it back, and with the ambulance. So it's just, it's interesting that we have these characters and they're kind of opposite, because like, but
Yes.
now he's in this position where he's talking to them, where well, I mean, they're doing the ignoring him thing. And also I loved like how we kept going back to the bit, and every time she called the operator, we would hear the entire message.
The entire thing.
Every time we heard it, it was funny. That bit never got old for me. I loved it.
"Hello, Carol. This is a recording. We're gonna try to fulfill your needs as best as we can. Uh, uh, but what he said, but
We just need our
at this time,
space."
we just need space."
We're and then the bit with the drone in the trash, that shit had me. We were dying. I was dying during that scene. I loved it.
The comedic bits are not really funny, but it's inherently funny. Was fantastic.
Yeah, yeah. It's like
Like,
this, just like inherent like dry humor, where like it's not like set up joke. It's just like these moments of like things happening in their life of
yeah,
like wow, that's just really funny.
and like things that is also certain moments that feel like they're like big twists. One where they're like harvesting human body parts for subsistence, and then like you think it's like this big like, oh no, and then literally the next episode she goes running to Vegas trying to tell the other guy about it. It's like, oh, is it about the human body parts thing? And then he turns on TV as John Cena. It's like, hey, Carol. So we use substance called BDP. And then like they explain the whole milk thing and like this is all we need to survive. But they're unwilling to like pick things, and then they have their own moral code as this entity of like not willing to like if it falls from the ground they can take it but they can't physically, pull an apple from it. And like Carol makes a good point. It's like going like you are purposely starving yourself because you're unwilling to do things outside of this moral code. And the same for Manusos. In an extreme other end of it, he's willing to trek through the jungle and possibly die. And I thought they were just going to kill him off, to be honest with you. Um, of like and unwilling to accept their help by any means. Like, hey, we can get you here by nightfall. We're advising you not to do this. And he does anyway. And honestly, like I cringed a little bit when he fell back into that tree. I was like,
Oh,
ugh. And then like he was in the hospital. And then like I think they took him to a point where he can probably drive the rest of the way. Yeah. So it's yeah, and yeah, you're right. He has this moral code where he was siphoning gas and like leaving some money for that like it means anything. Like it doesn't mean anything for you to do that. But and you see like the extremes of how people are taking this world ending event and within honestly like the Indian guy, Carol and Manusos, I think we're seeing all these different aspects of it. And then what's even more haunting was at the beginning of the final episode where um we see one of the the people who wanted to convert. And like we see that process goes and all she did was take a sniff at this entity and then she converted. And then literally all the performative stuff that were happening in her village, everyone just goes stoic. And then like, okay, we can be ourselves now. We don't have to play up to you anymore. That's haunting.
yes. He's like literally. Oh,
It's good.
it's
It's a great show. It's a great show. Again, another one that makes me think. Um, like if it gave me appreciation of the lore of the It franchise, this was just a great and continued character study. With some funny moments in there as well, and it just makes you think about some of this stuff. And yeah, it's it's less about this like this entity taking over the world. It has nothing to do about that. It's more like you said, like that was just a vehicle to get us to these themes that he wants to build throughout the season and the rest of the show.
if I had to give this season a rating, it would be 5 out of 5. It's so good.
100%. Like I love where we left off, and I'm very curious to see where we continue from here.
100%.
And like, because it can go either way. Like, I feel like it's inevitable. It's gonna have to go one or the other. And I think the only thing that's keeping this show from like, I think the really switching up the game is if they find a way to convert somebody back, which is
Mm,
what I think Manusos was trying to do. So I'm also curious to see where season two picks up. Is it a couple years later? Is it a couple months later? Is it right after she walks into her house? So
mm,
we'll see where it goes. But yeah, two great shows to kind of end 2025.
100%.
It's
Very
great
exciting.
show. But yeah, anyway, that's all we've been watching. So now we're going to move it on to our spoiler review of Avatar: Fire and Ash, the next great epic from James Cameron. And this is he says that he wants to see what the box office numbers look like and uh the appeal of this franchise before he considers moving on to 4 and 5. And Ernesto, you know, does he achieve that with Avatar: Fire and Ash?
Matt, it's gonna be a yes for me. Like this movie was, I fucking love this movie. I thought it was one of the best theater experiences I've had in a really, really long time. Even given the 3 hour and 15 minute long time, I was able to watch it in Dolby 3D, and like I just like I could tell the differences they've made in the advancements in technology because I was fully enthralled. Like you can the 3D is just so much smoother. It's more the screen had so much more depth. I mean, the subtle facial details, like you can see like the eye constrictions, the iris flares, and like the not they this is about as real as they're gonna make the Navi. And I just like the way that he does this because he gets these massive sound stages and he puts these and then I think it's like a 2 camera rig that they have to put on them now. Um, and it to me it works. Like it just makes them more and more. It make this is about as realistic as it's gonna get. I absolutely loved it. The fact that they're James Cameron was very big on no generative AI. Like it's basically like he's all about the human performances, and those the airships during that fight scene. They actually built 100-foot aluminum airships, and they used real flames, and they set them on fire
Wow.
as part of that. So it's like this mix between practical and like heavy CGI. I mean, it was great. There is what were your initial thoughts? You did not like it.
I I think there's no denying that James Cameron can present and entertain with his theatrical experience. Like
hmm
the visuals, the world of Pandora, like it's still a spectacle. Like, and I like everything I'm looking at. It's just like you have to remember that a lot of this is just you know it's all a lot of this isn't a real place. These aren't like most of this movie is a big CGI movie with very limited real characters that are in here. Everything else is motion capture. So like it's incredible to look at. It's great to look at. However, it's the same story as Avatar: The Way of Water. That's my biggest knock with this movie. Like I literally watched Avatar: The Way of Water like an hour. I finished an hour before I watched Avatar: Fire and Ash.
Yeah, same.
And it is the same movie. And that's my only gripe with it, and which is why I wish I can like it more, but I just can't move past the like at the end of the day, we have moved the story inches.
Okay, Matt.
And
How many times did we blow off did we blow up the Death Star in Star Wars?
like I hear you. They did it 3 times.
Like, but you know what I mean? So it's like we can knock it for this sci-fi trope, but I hear you. I hear you. But
It's like I invest into these characters more than I already have from the first movie because like technically speaking, I didn't get a different movie. Like they're still the bad guys are still chasing them. Like I don't I would have put money on Stephen Lang dying at the
nah,
end of this movie. And
he's
he didn't.
he's gonna make it to
It
4 or 5.
He's gonna make it where?
He's gonna make it to either 4 or 5. I
Like
don't think he's gonna die yet.
I don't even know what his name is. Squarch. Nope. Squarch. Squarch. Stephen Lang. He
Quaritch, I think his name is, or something.
Forge. There you go. Like he's still grappling over the same themes that he had in the second movie. And the people that thought were dead were the humans hunting the whales. They're alive and they're still hunting whales. Like, and then the bad guys are still chasing Jake Sully. And guess what? They find this is the only thing that was maybe moving the story a little bit forward. They did capture him. Then he got away. Then they went after him again in this big battle at the end of the movie to then at the very same at the second movie to capture Jake Sully. And then the only difference between 2 and 3 is that the good majority of those people died with this energy field that was kind of sucking them into
Oh yeah.
whatever. And so like that was that was the progression. So like that particular storyline died, but I feel like at the end of this, and also was another thing that annoyed me was that I was expecting closure because I always thought that from what he presented that this movie um what this franchise was acting as like a trilogy of sorts. So
Mm,
like 1, 2, and 3 would be like its own self-contained thing, and then as a bonus, you get 4 and 5, kind of moving the story forward in a different direction. And that is not what this ended up was. Maybe I might have misunderstood that. Maybe he meant 2, 3, and 4 were the trilogy, and then the bookends are like more of a standalone story. Because Avatar, the first movie, is a standalone story.
yes.
And then definitely 2 moves into 3, and clearly 3 is moving into 4.
See,
And then maybe
but
go ahead.
4, from what I understand, is gonna be Sigourney Weaver's Avatar's character's story. She's gonna be the Kiwi. What's her name?
Uh,
Kira, she's gonna be the main lead and actually narrating the story, which I feel like we get that lead up now. I mean, there's all those times where she tries to connect with Iwa, and we have that
Yeah.
moment where she actually sees the Great Mother, like in that when her and Spider try her and her little sister and Spider try to help her.
Yeah.
I mean, there were
That
some
giant
things,
ass head, just like, what are you doing here?
like turn her, like you just see the eye, like, hey girl, hey, what you doing?
Oh, whoa. Yeah,
Oh, Great Mother's not ready for you yet.
This is my space. Get out of here.
Get out of here.
Out of here.
But I like Spider's arc. His being able to breathe Pandora air creates this thing where he can.
Yes.
I mean, that's new. But that's a huge thing because now the humans have this thing thereafter even more so than the whale brain fluid, I guess you would call it, because that's like the stuff I guess that stops aging. You know.
Yes. Yeah, look, and I agree with you. I think that is the biggest story progression that this movie had, was that Spike was able to, or Spider was able to breathe the air based off of the with Kiri and like the Great Mother, like they transformed him that he can breathe the air. And then as Jake Sully pointed out, like, hey, the humans now want this, because if they don't need the masks anymore, we're screwed. Like if they can find a way to, to do that themselves, like, and that aspect I liked. Like for me, this is like, oh, this is where we're moving forward a little bit. But then you killed everybody. So we're
And
just getting new humans coming into play and trying to figure that out. Like it's interesting because there's some of the stuff that I would like to see, like maybe more of the humans' reason of being here is not on the forefront of this movie or the series, I should say. And then I don't know. I think her name is Barrag, is which the our main villain, I guess, who felt like a side character. Like I do not think she served much of a purpose in this movie. And again, more of a like a visual threat that will be, I'm assuming, more prevalent in future movies, but just not this one.
see, I saw her as an introduction as a group of people like what are some of the Navi that are like that have turned their back on Awa, and then I feel like
Yes.
that was this film's example of like these are the people who follow the Great Mother's path, and here's a group of people who outsiders who have turned their back on them, and this is kind of like their introduction, because I feel like she's obviously gonna be coming back. She's gonna come back and be a figure later.
Yeah, I mean, so is Stephen Lang. He ended up not dying at the end of this movie. He ended up just kind of like he pushed himself off the ledge when he realized that he was backed into a corner, and he's like, "My son's never gonna be with me, but that's my only weak point." And anyway, bye.
Bye.
Um,
He just
bye.
jumped off. He just jumped off the rock.
He just yeeted himself. Yeah, he's like, "Yeah, I'll figure it out when I get down." Like, I like his character growth, but I feel like this would have been a great moment to kind of end it, in my opinion. Like
Mm.
your human counterparts are dead. Like you are the only one that's having like this moral compass of between the lines of like the Navi and like the human. And this is, and as Jake Sully said, this is just a memory. Like this isn't who you are. You should be your own person, not the memory of a dead man. And like that makes sense. It's a very compelling storyline to go off of. And I feel like him maybe just kind of ending it there, or him just not killing himself, but more dying in battle of this moral high ground that he had, would have been a better ending over the hands of Jake Sully, like maybe killing him, or maybe his son killing him, I don't know. But like it's the same fight we had in the second movie, and it resulted the same way. We thought he was going to die, and then he didn't. And so like that's where my frustration lies. It's I because the spectacles and the visuals are so captivating that I don't think the story is keeping up with the technical achievement that James Cameron is doing.
Yeah, I get that. I also really like the stuff with Natiri of her trying to accept Spider, and this whole between Natiri and Jake, that whole scene where they're deciding if they're going to even if they were going to kill him, or, but,
Yeah.
obviously choosing to accept him as family. I mean, that to me, that stuff is like super compelling. So I
Yeah.
don't know. I enjoyed it. I was here for all of it.
What do you think about the whales?
What do you? I liked it. Kind of gave us like somebody else, these other deeply like what's a good way to put it? Uh, these other just like these other beings that exist in on Pandora that we can kind of connect with, and to me they're like their dolphins. They're like just as smart. They're
Yeah.
just as emotional. They have a ways to connect with them. Um, I thought it was interesting that they had this whole nonviolent approach, even though that they could just decimate all of them, and they're just letting them kill them.
Which they, ultimately went against, they went against their moral high ground and started participating in the fight, which is exactly, not to beat this dead horse, but exactly what happened in the first movie or in the second movie, where like the one rogue whale decided to help out because he made friends with, with Jake Sully's son, which I don't know his name, and and then he decides to continue that friendship. And to me, I was really like, I liked the whale stuff in the second movie, but man, why was I not expecting to get a full deep dive in the third? I was like, wow, we are really spending a lot of time with this whale council. And like Jake Sully's son is going on a completely different mission. Your father just got captured by the humans, but forget my dad. I'm trying to figure out my whale friend who went away, only for them to find him. Then they just go all the way back to the whale council to prove a point. And the whale was like looking for his family, and they all died. He's like, you can't just let them kill you. You have to, do something better. Or unless I'm going to be honest with you, I could care less about this whale storyline. Like,
Okay.
because it ultimately, to me, it meant nothing. It just went from, here's this rogue whale, like, and he's going against what the moral code of his other peers are. Then he runs away. Then they go after him. They come back to convince the whale council again to, be on their side. And then they gave in, and then they was on his side. And at the end of the day, what did that do? Nothing. They still like the end of the day, the humans are dead for now, and they were able to collectively go around the underwater tree and be one with Awa and Great Mother. And that was the exact same ending of the second movie. And so like I just didn't buy into it a second time. And that's why I was hoping we would have leaned more into the Fire Nation with these, fire avatar people. And I would have much rather get more lore on that aspect of it, and I feel like they were more of a secondary character. Granted, we're going to see more of that tribe in the future film, but for now in this movie, I feel like they were underutilized, and and rightfully so. Stephen Lang was more of a antagonist in this movie, and I think he as a villain is fantastic.
Yes, I agree.
Like
I c-
I think he's a great villain.
and I can agree with you. I think we definitely could have gotten less of the whales and more of the fire tribe. I can agree with that.
Like because then even if you got less of the whale story, that's that's you can make your 3 hour movie into 2.5 hour movie. Like, or a 2 hour and 45 minute movie instead of 3 hours and 15 minutes. Like, you could have cut 30 minutes of that and not much have changed from your main storyline because that whale subplot just seems extremely secondary to everything that's going on. When there's like larger stakes at play where like Jake is being, they eventually find him, and again, like they were looking for him since the second movie. They eventually find him, 8 hours later between the two movies. They finally find the tribe that he was in, and then he just kind of gives in. And Natiri also had some very interesting character moments in there as well, like her fighting her instincts of being this great warrior and like her values that she has, and you can tell that they are much more connected with the forest tribe that they were originated from. I'm surprised they still went back to the water tribe after all of that. Like, just go back home. Like, there's nothing really stopping here. But I guess again, we're trying to, we're still in hiding, and whatnot. And I like that he got captured. I like that some of the humans are just not, like, for what the other humans are doing. That was okay. Like, there were, and I feel like I'm being more negative about this movie than positive. There were a lot of great things about this movie that I did enjoy. And like I said, it is a spectacle on the big screen, and James Cameron can make an extremely entertaining movie that was captivating from start to finish. But in this case, I just feel that there was a lot of similarities to Way of Water that didn't feel like it was separating itself or veering too off of its own narrative, its own film to make it distinct itself. It very much felt like what I saw a lot of people call it Way of Water Part 2.5. Like, it was an the connection to like almost it picked up right where the second movie left off. Like not even only minutes had gone by.
Yeah.
Um, and so like it to me it just felt like it was a direct continuation and less of a separate movie. Like if this was a series, this would have been the second half of season 2, for example.
Mm. I I can agree with that. I also think like Natiri dealing with the grief of her
Yeah.
son dying, being separated from her tribe, and also like trying to accept Spider as one of hers. Because then we had to deal with her. I mean, she was being kind of racist towards him, but like oh, we got to get rid of him, and I mean, but she did make a good point. Like if they're trying to run away and he runs out of oxygen, like that's gonna be a problem.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like that that was like a driving force for, a good third of the movie, and
Yes.
so he was able to breathe, like, that particular storyline was pushing the story forward for me.
Yes.
Like, and I thought that, having Spider being a more of a main character was interesting. Like, Jake Sully is becoming less and less the main focus of these movies, but he always had, like, this like it very much feels like a Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader between Jake Sully and Quaritch. It's like obviously not father and son, but like here are these two rivalries that keep butting heads, but also going along their moral high ground. And their connection that doesn't instantly want them to kill each other is Spider. And we saw them even working together, trying to get back his son. And then as soon as they got his son back, he bolts
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
starts going off of his other ulterior motives on like and I'm curious to see where his character continues on from there. And even like Natiri even kind of almost negating her own children because or even her husband as well.
Hmm.
Like is like we're not pure. And that there's like a little bit of resentment from her, for her character. And I thought that was interesting as well. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I it's hard for me to look past that it was a very similar movie, and I was hoping story-wise we were getting something much more either deeper or really pushing the lore forward that again matches the visuals. Because even like the airships that they had in the beginning of the movie when they were like going to transport Spider to live with the forest people, like I thought that was going to be like, I thought visually that looked really good, and having the fight up there when the Fire Nation came down and, like, kind of, like, infiltrating the tribe, which they said they're gonna keep a low profile, then they weren't know they're there, yet your kids are flying around
Yeah.
very noticeably around the area, like, they had no respect for, like, the situation that they were in,
Yeah.
and I do feel like now we're seeing these children kinda grow into their own, and I think that's also a good, good character stuff for this whole story.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I hear what you're saying, man. I just, I don't know. I was too enthralled with the spectacle. Did you see it in 40X?
No, I saw it in, RPX, which is, like, Regal's answer to Dolby because AMC had Dolby.
Yeah.
So I saw it in, like it was a recliner, it had, like, the subwoofers underneath your seat, so I saw it in, like, the closest way I can watch Dolby without going to see it in Dolby because all of Dolby like, I saw it opening weekend, so Dolby was packed.
Yeah.
So,
Did you
like,
see it
let me find another theater that's not, like, scrunching with other people.
did you get to see it in
So
3D?
it was in 3D, yeah.
Yeah. See, and like, I don't really like 3D movies, but I will watch his movies in 3D because he specifically shoots them in 3D.
Mhm. Yeah. And what do you think about moving forward from this? Like, I know you were enthralled a bit, but what would you like to see if James Cameron, which I feel like it's happening. He's gonna continue making these movies.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Um,
I mean, once we get to the box office numbers, it's very clear they're gonna move on to the next. It's very clear they're
yeah.
going to be moving on to the next one. But I think from what I've read of us, this next exploration, the next installment is going to be his daughter, where the one who's connected to Awa is Sigourney Weaver, basically, as this young child. I want to see her be the main lead and not so much of Jake Sully. And then they're supposed to be, the next one is supposed to be a huge time jump into the next
Right.
movie.
Which is where I think I made like I mentioned earlier, I think the first um I think I was confused maybe going into Fire and Ash that like 1, 2, and 3 was the trilogy. I think 2, 3, and 4 is the trilogy that James Cameron was talking about. And then you have the bookends of 1 and 5. So like one's a standalone thing, and then 2, 3, 4 are like all connected, and then 5 it's like loosely connected, but also a continuation, but also could probably act on its own. So maybe the grand finale that I'm looking for is in the fourth movie, which if that is also the case, then maybe what I'm experiencing is sometimes when sequels are already planned for more sequels, like this is just I'm frustrated on a second act structure without seeing it the full whole complete story.
Yeah.
Like it's like I got something similar from the first, and but maybe once I see the next movie, it will tie in better for the overarching story that you're telling between movie 2, 3, and 4. So maybe when the fourth movie comes out, and then I might have better context, and maybe going back to watching Fire and Ash, I might appreciate it more.
Yeah.
But as of right now, as a standalone movie, like these are feels like continuations of other characters. And also Kate Winslet's character was also died in this as well. And we also now like she was able to give birth to the child that she had. And now Naturi is now responsible of taking care. Well, not really her, but she goes to her father.
Well,
Like that
yeah,
child then goes to the father of Kate Winslet.
but she told her to take care of her now that she's
Yeah.
gone. So I
So
think
I
she's
think
gonna
now they're
feel.
they're more a part of this water tribe than they were before.
Yeah.
And like I said, because we spent so much time on the water tribe in the second movie, I felt like we were gonna invest that same amount of time into the Fire Nation, but we didn't. It was more like a ploy for Stephen Lang to have this interesting sexual tension between him and the main fire lady, and then they were kind of like a couple now. And so I thought that was an interesting trajectory to that, and also good fuel for Jake Sully to be like, you've been with these people, you know what life could be like
Mm,
here. Why are you actively trying to destroy?
that's a
I
good
think that's
point.
like a good comparison, even though they're not for the people, but also you have this crazy, witch fire lady who just obsessed with destruction and mayhem. So, and again, all interesting story beats that hopefully maybe can come to more flourishing once the next movie comes
Yeah.
out. But with that, let's talk about the box office. This movie opened to $89.1 million domestically, with a budget of about 300. Let me just get that correct. With a budget of 350, $400 million. Now, this is the same thing that happened to Avatar: Way of Water. This movie opened to a Way of Water opened to $134 million, and people are like, "That's it. No one cares about the Avatar movies. It didn't make $1 billion the first week." This movie was never going to make $1 billion in the first weekend. However, what this movie and what this franchise thrives on is staying power. The first movie was number one for 9 consecutive weeks. The second movie was number one for 7 consecutive weeks. So now that's the question of, is this movie have the staying power to either continue making money over the weeks to come, and will it be able to hit the $2 billion mark that its predecessors have? My answer to that is no. It would definitely make a billion. We can see that here,
Hmm.
but I'm not sure if it could cross the 2 billion mark. But with that, like I said, the movie opened to $89.1 million opening weekend. At the time of this recording, domestically, it has made $216.9 million. Internationally, it has made $544.7 million. With again, at the time of this recording, with a grand total of $761.6 million worldwide, and that's just in its second week
Mm,
of release. So there's a good chance that by the end of the third weekend, it will probably hit that $1 billion benchmark. Now, can it continue to grow into two? I find that unlikely. However, it definitely proves that it has staying power. With the box office numbers coming out just recently, I read that Way of Water between week 1 and 2 had a 52% drop. So
mm.
pretty significant and pretty standard for most Hollywood movies to have a huge opening weekend and have a significant drop. If it's somewhere in the 70s or 80s, that's a huge drop for a
Yeah.
movie. But Avatar: Way of Water hit about 52. Fire and Ash, however, only had a 26-28% drop
Mm.
between its second week. So proving as of right now, it has better staying power than the sequel of Way of Water, which is something to note. Now, again, we're closing on the $1 billion mark, most likely hit by next week. And so now the question is, how long can it stay number one? And as history shows, not a lot of hits coming out between now and the beginning of January. So the Avatar Way of Water, unless Zootopia 2 wants to rain on its parade, will probably be sitting pretty in the number one spot for quite some time.
Yeah.
And my next movie that I think we even come close to beating it at number one is 28 years later, The Bone Temple, which comes out in the third week.
Second or
I think the
third
third
week
week of
in January. Yeah.
second or third week of January is like the next big release that people will probably want to go to the theaters for. It's the third Friday in January is when 28 years later, The Bone Temple comes out, which was a moderate success in the summer. So if that same crowd goes to see the next movie, then I think that could be the first movie that can even rival Avatar: Fire and Ash in the box office. But that being said, James Cameron has said in the interviews that like he wants to see how the Avatar: Fire and Ash comes out and the success of this movie because he say that he constantly has to prove himself of why these movies need to exist. And so if the box office can reflect on his vision, then he'll move forward with 4 and 5. So, like,
Mm.
I think they are in development, 4 and 5, but I'm not sure and I'm sure a lot of things have already been moving forward with that, but I'm not sure if he's willing to pull the trigger fully until he sees these numbers, which I think, you know,
At this point.
if he has stories in the chamber, he's making more.
Yeah, and I think he said that if he ends up not making them, that he'll either release them 4 and 5 as a novel or do a press conference.
Yes, which is hilarious. Like,
Yeah,
you guys will know the story whether you get to see this movie or not.
yeah, you'll see what
Um
happens.
Which I feel like with all the buzz that's surrounding these Avatar movies when they do come out, like, it makes no sense not to continue moving forward with these movies.
Yeah, I agree.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I think I would like to see him fulfill the rest of, his vision on movie 4 and 5, or at the very least with 4. Um, and you mentioned that the main story will be following, Si Sigourney Weaver's character,
Hmm.
but this movie, the narration was from Jake Sully's son.
Yeah, and the next story is supposed to be hers, which I guess in a
Yeah.
way I could see how him narrating it. I mean, he wasn't the main lead in this one, but I mean, he was the whale storyline, and that was like his arc
Yeah.
throughout the movie, so it makes sense.
So, like, I mean, him as a narrator, I feel like also like we followed him a lot when they were trying to invade from the Fire Nation. So like he was kind of like hey, he's a protector between Spider
Hmm.
and his two sisters. But yeah, but I agree. I would not call this his movie. It still very much felt like Jake Sully as our main lead. But yeah, we'll see if they actually, I'm really curious to see what the fourth movie comes to play. That's for sure. But nonetheless, Ernesto, your final thoughts on Avatar Fire?
I loved it more than you did. I really
Yeah,
enjoyed Spider's arc. I mean, the the visual effects is are incredible. The score is so good. Um, yeah, I actually just as far as like the ending, like I felt like Spider being invited to the Great Mother and like him tying in and everybody kind of accepting him. I felt like was just a really well earned moment and just a great
hmm
way to end this film. But yeah, I loved it. So I'm gonna go 4.5 out of 5.
okay. I I will meet you there, but I walked out with a 4.
Okay.
I walked out with a 4. I can see how we can get to 4.5. I did thoroughly enjoy this movie over my negative, uh, I guess, tone going into my take on it. But for me, if we can make this story more, I don't know, mean something more than what it is. Like, I want the story to be stronger at the end of the day. Like, again, your visuals are incredible. Like, it's again worth seeing on the big screen.
Yeah.
I just wish, and also, if I didn't watch Way of Water, then this movie has a completely different context of like, wow, this is like we're really pushing this Pandora lore forward. But like, I feel like we've moved. We're like between 1 and 2. I feel like we moved the story incredibly well. Of like, this is the reason why we want this movie to be made. um, this definitely felt like we moved inches forward into that storyline. And then I'm hoping that maybe the next one can kind of tie it all together or whatever your grand plan is for all this. But again, there's no denying what the visuals of this movie. This is probably I read somewhere and I don't disagree with it. Like this is probably one of the greatest technical achievements in modern cinema in our lifetime
Yeah.
that we've seen so far. Like in our generation of like movie going. Like it's a technical marvel. Like the way that people talk about visually like Star Wars and that trilogy back in the 70s and early 80s. Like for us in the early aughts into, the 20s, like this is our generation of like if people are going to go back 20 years later and watch like what movie defined like a technical achievement, it's Avatar.
It's Avatar. Regardless how you
Yeah,
feel about the story, it's Avatar.
it's Avatar. Like this movie would just go down as far as like the technical marvel that James Cameron was able to achieve. And also, again, if this movie makes $1 billion, which is definitely going to do that, like James Cameron is a hit maker. Like Disney can't ignore that. Like he will continue to make these movies and these movies will continue to make money. And like also his success rate is incredible.
Yeah.
Like he could not make a movie for 10 years, comes back and bam, $1 billion. He's
Yeah.
a $1 billion filmmaker. Like
Exactly.
it's like the 3 of your movies have $2 billion. That's unheard of. It's incredible. It's really a feat there. I am curious to see James Cameron tackle something else, but I'm happy that this is where he is.
I
Like if this
mean,
is where
he thrives in sci-fi, but he did do the Titanic. He did give us Titanic.
yeah. And that was his last movie. And then after that he gave us Avatar.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's crazy.
See, he loves
So
water. He loves waters and ships. That's why he made Titanic, so that he could understand the way of the water. I'm just kidding.
there it is. There it is.
There it is.
There it is. But yeah, 4.5 out of 5 stars. It's well earned. James
Yeah.
Cameron, continue making these movies. We will continue watching them. I just want a stronger story at the end of the day. That's kind of my biggest gripe with everything.
All right.
Way to bring the mood down.
Way to tell it. Way to tell it, Matt.
But that is our spoiler review of Avatar Fire and Ash, and that is all the show we have for you guys this week. As always, you can follow us on all of our social media channels on Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok at Box Office Bingers, our X and Letterboxd page at Box Office Binger, and our Threads and Instagram page at Box Office _Bingers. The fun doesn't stop here; it continues on all of our social media channels. So be sure to give each one of those a follow. We really do appreciate it. You can check out all of our film reviews on our Letterboxd page, our lovely faces on our YouTube page, where we can see our like I said, lovely faces and our beautiful graphics. And our new to stream, we'll tell you what's new to stream every Friday. We'll give you the box office numbers every Sunday. It's all there on our social media channels. So be sure again to give each one of those a follow. We really do appreciate it. And yeah, tell the lovely listeners what they can look forward to going into the new year.
So start kicking off the new year. We are kind of continuing our like what we are determining our pre-Oscar coverage. Timothy Chalamet, we're in Marty Supreme. That's going to be our movie for next week. It's in high contention for the Oscars. Matt and I have each already seen it. So that's going to be I'm really looking forward. I'm already really looking forward to that conversation. There's definitely a lot to talk about when it comes to Marty Supreme.
There is, and which also I'm really interested to talk about is that these are from this is from Jodie Safdie.
Yes.
And it was part of the Safdie brothers until they had an unfortunate falling out between the two brothers. And so in the same year, they made two different movies. One being Benny Safdie making the Smashing Machine, and the other one making Marty Supreme. And so you can already go back and listen to our thoughts on what about the Smashing Machines that we did that one back in October. And so you can hear our review on that if you want to compare kind of directors or so to speak of Benny Safdie's approach on the Smashing Machine and then Jodie Safdie's approach on Marty Supreme, which I again, like Ernesto said, there's a lot to discuss here. And again, at the very least, I can definitely see why this is in the awards conversation.
Yeah.
I'll leave that as a little nugget for next week.
Oh
Um,
yeah. I'm very excited
yeah.
to have that conversation next week.
Also, we're going to try to cover the epic finale that is Stranger Things season 5.
Mhm.
You can look back, I believe it was last week's or last episode or the one before that. We talked about the first 4 episodes of Stranger Things. So next week we're going to be talking about the last 4 episodes of the Stranger Things and kind of uh, its it's huge success that it's getting theatrically. And we
Yeah.
will talk about more about that next week of how people are literally selling out theaters to watch the final episode of Stranger Things, and something that's kind of unheard of. And maybe can be something that we can see more happen in the future.
Yeah, I think so.
Considering that this is, that theaters are selling out for this very limited showing of the final episode of Stranger Things.
Yeah, I believe so. I think so.
Um, but yeah, and also all the other fun things we want to talk about next week. You can look forward to that. Also, the Critic Choice Awards is happening, so we'll talk about the winners there. So a lot of fun stuff you can look forward to next week as we ring in the new year of 2026. And if you happen to be listening to this episode in the new year, well, then Happy New Year. You're talking to us, you're listening to us in the future. But as of right now, it's December 30th, and we're still living in 2025. So I hope everyone had a great holiday season. Hope you have a great new year and come back next year for more movie fun, another round of these movies as we go into the award season. And we talk about new blockbusters, summers. We have also in 2026, we're going to be doing our best of 2025
Mm,
episode that we like to do every single year. So that is coming up in the next couple of weeks. So we're not slowing down.
no.
We're continuing moving forward in 2026. So again, we really do appreciate you listening to us talk about movies. Come back next week for more movie fun. You're not going to regret it. And for that, I've been your host, Matt Diaz.
And I've been Ernesto Santos. See ya.